across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, I'm kind of early. It's me, Kevin O'Sullivan, right here on Drive. I'll be doing the evening show as well. No, that's a lie. Samara Gill will be doing my show, Political Asylum, at 7 p.m. But you got me for the next 3 hours. So, welcome to the Afternoon Drive show. Don't forget you can call us on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Wednesday, the 19th of November. Here's what's coming up. A Russian submarine sails into Scottish seas and taunts us. Tough-talking Defence Secretary John Healey tells Putin that the British government knows what he's doing and we are ready. Great. So we're all safe then. Trouble is, though, we're not ready, are we? Defence spending is at an all-time low. Our armed forces are the most depleted they've ever been. And if, horror of horrors, war did break out, the United Kingdom would be in grave danger. All the talk of upping the meagre amount shelled out to defend this nation as a new world order emerges is just that, talk. And when that global thug Putin decides to goad us, it brings into sharp, terrifying focus just how unprepared we are. Perhaps if our Labour leaders spent less on public sector pay rises and much less on foreign aid, they'd have more money to invest in protecting the people of this once mighty country. 0344 499 1000. In other news, a last woke gasp from a police commissioner before these pointless scions of utter ineffectiveness are phased out, announcing that St George's flags are, and I quote, tools of division that spread division and hate. Excuse me for interrupting this stream of woeful woke garbage, but aren't they actually the national English flag and symbols of patriotism? Don't you despise this all-too-familiar kind of thinking in police forces across the land? 0344 499 1000. What do you think the St George's flag means? Doesn't strike me as a tool of division, a tool of hate. It's our flag. It's a symbol of patriotism. Let me know what you think. 0344 499 1000. Also this afternoon, Shabana Mahmood's doomed bid to solve the migrant crisis with hardline asylum reforms triggers a furious rebellion from left-wing backbenchers who warn her not to bow to the electorate's wishes. I'll just say that again. They've warned her not to bow to the electorate's wishes. There you have it, folks. Labour MP's contempt for the people, telling a cabinet minister, don't, whatever you do, listen to the population of this country. How do you like that? 0344 499 1000. Plus, yet another apology from the British Bungling Corporation as the state broadcaster's idiots are forced to say sorry to the Princess of Wales for calling her Kate Middleton throughout the commentary on Remembrance Day ceremonies. The dire situation at the BBC is now officially beyond a joke, don't you think? What is going on there? Can they do anything right? 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's $5 billion lawsuit looms ever closer. 0344 499 1000. Also, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's nightmare just got a whole lot worse after Congress voted in Washington to release all the Epstein files. What new horrors await the Andrew, formerly known as Prince? 0344 499 1000. Plus, the strangest mystery in America. Why did a multi-millionaire businessman run naked down an upmarket marina gangplank in a state of mad panic? Behind him on his yacht, a young girl was dead. Find out all about the mystery that is intriguing America later on in the show. All that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Wednesday afternoon together. And let's get straight into that defence story. As I said earlier, a Russian submarine has been spotted off the coast of Scotland in Scottish waters, in British waters. It's a spy ship, we're told. It has aimed lasers at RAF pilots tracking it near UK waters. Now, the Defence Secretary very, very boldly stood up and said, "We know what you're up to, Putin, and we're ready, we're ready." Are we? Are we really? Well, look, before we have a look at tough talking John Healey, let me introduce to the show one of my favourite guests to start this afternoon's proceedings. He's a senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kisley. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Kev. It's great to see you.
Always a pleasure, Philip. Now, before we start, this is how the Defence Secretary responded to news that a Russian spy ship was sailing off the UK coast. Have a listen.
I speak, a Russian spy ship, the Yantar, is on the edge of UK waters north of Scotland, having entered the UK's wider waters over the last few weeks. This is a vessel designed for gathering intelligence and mapping our undersea cables. We deployed a Royal Navy frigate and RAF P-8 planes to monitor and track this vessel's every move, during which the Yantar directed lasers at our pilots. That Russian action is deeply dangerous, and this is the second time this year that this ship, the Yantar, has deployed to UK waters. So my message to Russia and to Putin is this: we see you, we know what you're doing, and if the Yantar travels south this week, we are ready.
Well, Philip, you know, the question is, there's a tough words from John Healey there, and we've got a serious threat going on. It's quite clear, at the very least, Putin is deliberately goading us. He's trolling us. He's testing the waters, almost literally, with this spy ship. But when Defence Secretary John Healey says, "We know what you're doing and we are ready," are we ready, do you think? I'm not sure we are. That's the problem, isn't it?
It is the problem, and of course we're not ready. We're nowhere near ready. The first duty of any government is to defend its citizens, and this government has been so negligent, it's terrifying, actually. We don't meet NATO's Article 3 defence obligations. That's the basic defence obligations that we should meet to protect ourselves, that this government should protect our country. We're nowhere near there. This has been described by the Commons Defence Committee as a wake-up call and last chance saloon. So that's how bad we are. But I don't think it's just that, Kev. I think it's more than an external existential threat, because if something happens, we've got so many fifth columnists, Palestine Action, etc., people marching every week who hate Britain, hate the West, hate Jews, hate everybody within this country. If there was an external threat did happen, if someone did invade, then we'd have the extra problem of fifth columnists inside helping them. And now that's new, Kev. We've never had that in the history of this country before, because up until the end of the 20th century, we'd never had mass immigration before. So something is happening, and no, we really don't know, the people of this country really don't know how vulnerable they are. Now, that might sound extremely dramatic, and it is dramatic, but it's actually the truth.
And I think we've got something like 70,000 troops available, which wouldn't even fill Wembley Stadium. Now, because of the new world order, the fact that perhaps America will be less willing to step in and help the Europeans defend themselves, there's been all this talk of raising expenditure on defence, not just by Britain, but by other European countries. So in 2024, by the way, the NATO, the recommended amount we spent is at least 5% of GDP, gross domestic product. Donald Trump, in particular, is very keen that we start to get close to that we start to spend that in order to defend ourselves, instead of what we've traditionally been doing for the last few decades, which is going, oh, hello, America, can you look after us, please? Can you deal with Russia? Can you deal with all the big threats? Because we don't really want to spend any money on all those weapons and nasty things like that. Well, that's not good enough. Trump quite rightly said, you start paying your way, you start defending yourself. So in 2024, we spent a pathetic 2.3% of our GDP on defence. Now, the minimum guideline is set by NATO is 2%. Donald Trump thinks we should spend 5%. I think he's probably right. So in view of this changing new world order, Starmer and his gang have committed to, and listen to this, it's very, very dramatic, all of this, 2.3% last year. They've committed to increasing this to 2.5% by 2027, with further plans to increase spending to 3.5% by 2035. In other words, this is nowhere near enough, is it?
Well, it's just insane. I mean, first of all, the members of this government have, I'm thinking about David Lammy in particular here, but, I'm thinking about Angela Rayner, who's gone, but who'll probably come back. What were they calling? They were alienating the US. They were alienating particularly President Trump by calling him names. He's literally Hitler and all of that kind of stuff. At the same time, they refused to spend the minimum, the bare minimum to protect us. This is how negligent these people are. And so you've got that direct impact of literally just not meeting the quota and not spending what they should be doing. But we've also got the indirect impact, which is more cultural, isn't it? And I was thinking, as I was reading this story, I was thinking about the story from 2023 about the RAF and the diversity quotas, saying, well, the RAF is too white and too male. We need to get rid of those people.
Come on.
Diversity. Now, that is really important, isn't it? Because if you're going to have an operation on your brain surgery, you don't want a diversity quota brain surgeon, and this is exactly the same. This is just as important. So for these people, the loony left, the Labour Party, all the other Green Party and all of that, the armed forces represent poisonous masculinity. They represent patriotism, they represent nationalism, all the things that they hate. So of course they won't spend money on it, right? Of course they won't. And that, again, it's not just the fact that they won't do that. It's everything. It's the philosophy behind it. It's how they think, and it's how they view the armed forces. They view the armed forces with contempt, and for me, that's the most worrying thing.
Absolutely. To put some figures on the spending that we've been doing and what we intend to do this year, last year, coming up to this year, £60.2 billion on defence. 2028 to 29 is predicted. They hope to reach 73.5 billion, and that would go up by 2035 to considerably more than that. But the point is these are still way below what we should be spending. Yeah. And you have to say about this Labour government, when they say, oh, it's very difficult, well, perhaps, just as a thought, if they stop spending quite so much on public sector pay rises, if they stop spending quite so much on the increasingly unjustifiable foreign aid budget that they love so much, then they could put some of the billions that they will save on all that nonsense into defence, protecting the people of this country, which, as you quite rightly said at the beginning of our conversation, Philip, is the first sacred duty of a government. They are not fulfilling that duty. It is quite palpably clear.
Yeah, and let's just put it in context, okay? This is how ridiculous it is. You said before that we've got an army of 70,000 people, which wouldn't even fill Wembley Stadium, okay? That is the smallest army this country has ever had since the Napoleonic Wars, okay? So it's, again, it's this idea of putting people in danger. It's not caring. It's not even meeting that first duty. So this government, my God, it needs to go. And again, as I said before, this is, people don't realise, and it's understandable they don't, because people are going about their everyday lives, they're trying to earn a living, they're looking after children, they're paying mortgages and stuff like that. They don't necessarily think about national defence. But we are in terrible trouble here, so much so that the Russians think they can just go and play with us on the waters outside of Scotland.
Yeah, and, you know, this is clearly Putin playing around, taunting us, goading us. But in these circumstances, things can go wrong. A slight kind of mishap, and, you know, God knows what could happen. So, I mean, I'm not wishing this to happen, but horror of horrors. Suppose something did happen with this ongoing incident up in Scotland, you know, something, a missile was accidentally fired or something, and suddenly we're at war with Russia. John Healey, we know what you're doing. We are ready. We are not ready. We are not in any way ready for war. And you know what they say? These Labour people, they love peace. You know what they always say? To maintain peace, you must be ready for war. We are clinging on to peace, but we are in no way ready for war. And that's a disgrace. That's a disgrace. They've got to stop paying civil servants and doctors massive pay rises and train drivers and God knows what, and start buying weapons, start recruiting, start making our armed forces bigger than they are now, because this is serious. There's a new world order. It's not like it used to be, and this country, this government, is simply not prepared.
No, it isn't. And the word I think that really sums it all up is deterrent. There is no deterrent, right? And we're beginning to understand now what the rest of the 21st century is going to be like, and it's going to be chaos. It's an absolute international jungle with players like China and Russia taking precedence. And we will not have that protection from the US, but we will not protect ourselves. That's the problem. Well, while we're talking about this, and I'm looking at some of this footage, I'm actually thinking about the Cold War, and I for the first time feel as uncomfortable as I did actually when I was a little boy, and we were always talking about 4-minute warnings and nuclear bombs. Now there's something else happening, and at least in those days you felt as though we might be at least semi-prepared with some kind of deterrent. But now it feels we're wide open on the outside for people coming in, hostile forces coming in, but wide open on the inside for fifth columnists who want to destroy us anyway. And we're not doing anything about the one, and we're not doing anything about the other. Again, I come back to this word that is terrifying, and it is terrifying. I don't want to be, you know, so negative about everything. It feels as though I am always these days. But the news just brings it out of me. You know what I mean? It is terrifying. It's as simple as that.
You made a good point, Philip. The essential problem we've got here is the kind of basic Labour philosophy. They don't like war. They don't like the idea of military strength. They don't like nuclear weapons. They reluctantly cling on to our nuclear strike force, but they don't really like it. We know that. They just don't like putting money into the military. No. The Navy, the Army, the Air Force. They just don't like it. No. They've been forced into saying the right things by Donald Trump and by developing situations around the world, particularly in Ukraine, of course. They've been forced into starting to try to talk a good game, but they're not doing it, and it's not in their DNA. We have a problem here. Listen, folks, let me know what you think. Do you trust this Labour government to defend this nation properly? 03444991000. Philip Kisley, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on. Dr. Philip Kisley there, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. Let me know what you think about this, but I fear for the state of this country. We have a Labour government that hasn't and does not invest enough in military, in our defence. We've got to do something about it, and fast, and stop giving civil servants and doctors and train drivers massive pay rises. Start buying weapons, start recruiting soldiers and pilots and sailors. Come on, 03444991000. When we come back, I want to talk about flags again. Unbelievably, a police chief has called the St George's flag, England's national flag, symbol of patriotism, a tool of division that is being used to spread fear and hatred. Come on. That next. Stay tuned.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's drive time, very busy news show, so we're very tight for time, but get your calls coming in. We're going to see how many calls we can squeeze in, because I think there are a lot of things to talk about. I want to hear what you think about defence, Britain's defence or lack thereof. What is John Healey talking about? Hey, Putin, we see you and we're ready. We're not ready. That's the problem. 03444991000. And I think you will want to get on the phone about this next story as well. I think this is shocking. It enrages me. Emily Spurrell is the chairwoman of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners. These are the crime commissioners, you know, that you vote for, that are completely useless and ineffective. They've been around for about, I think, since 2012 or something like that. They've just announced they're phasing them out. No one will notice because they didn't really ever do anything. But they're quite a hotbed of lefties and woke people, as are so many of our police forces now, which is driving me nuts. So this woman, who's the boss of all bosses when it comes to police and crime commissioners, Emily Spurrell, or should that be Spurrell? I don't know. She's given a speech in which she said that national flags on Britain's streets, particularly the St George's Cross, are tools of division and intimidation. She says they're sowing fear, fueling division, demonising communities, and so on and so forth. She's also hit out this crime commissioner, this police chief, if you like. She's hit out at Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary's asylum plans, saying they're demonising communities. She goes on to say that the display of flags are a part of a disturbing trend in rising hate-fueled rhetoric. Doesn't this drive you nuts? It's our flag. What on earth are you talking about, Mrs. Spurrell? Let's talk to a proper copper, Mike Neville, former Met Police detective. Mike, do you find this as enraging as I do?
I do, Kevin, and I'd link it to, as a veteran, I'd link it to the defence of the nation, because how can you get people to join the armed forces if you can't be proud of your country? You know, every soldier like me, every sailor and member of the Air Force, you sign up to die if need be for your country. So you have to have pride in your country. And if you can't fly your flag, what can you do? And, you know, you go to France, the tricolour is all over the place. You go to Ireland and their Irish tricolour is all over the place. And what strikes me, the likes of Emily Spurrell, she's from Liverpool, so it's a hotbed of left-wing politics, of course. And it's perfectly acceptable to fly hundreds of pride flags, hundreds of Palestinian flags. And for some reason, these pride and Palestinian flags, they're never a risk to health and safety. But fly a St George's flag, and oh my God, you're causing all sorts of aggravation, and you're going to cause accidents and all sorts of nonsense. So it really sums up the problem the left have with patriotism in this country.
And that also, the other thing, you'll recognise this. I mean, she's not technically a copper, she's a police commissioner, so she's sort of the elected person who sort of monitors the local police force. Is there any complaints or anything? She works with the local chief constable. I mean, she is actually the boss of the Association of Police Crime Commissioners, so she's the #1 police crime commissioner in the country. So in this speech, she told the National Conference of Crime Commissioners, she also went on to say, just by way of, almost off-field, left field, she said, we've heard this week some of the plans that the Home Secretary has to overhaul the asylum system. Change must not come at the cost of compassion. What the hell's it got to do with her anyway? This is just ludicrous virtue signalling from some lefty, isn't it?
It literally is. If you look her up on Wikipedia or do some research on her, I don't think she's ever had a proper job. You know, she's one of these left-wing activists who's found their entire career in some kind of political situation. Merseyside has a mayor, so they don't even vote in the police and crime commission, so she's there by default. But they have so little influence, these police and crime commissioners, that they get in the sack anyway. And it's got so ridiculous now, hasn't it? The whole country's fallen apart when you've got the far left criticising the Home Secretary for wanting to crack down on immigration. And she made a big point, this Spurrell woman, about violence against women and girls. And how much violence against women and girls do we see illegal immigrants committing? On a personal level, Kevin, I've got my youngest daughter goes to school in Bournemouth. I had to sit her down and talk to her about strange men in Bournemouth. Bournemouth used to be the quintessential English nice seaside town. Now it's got 3 hotels full of young men whom we know nothing, who come from countries where women can be treated very, very badly and sexually assaulted without the man ever being prosecuted. And that's the fear that people have. And this silly woman has no idea. She lives in a world of student activism, and she needs to get a grip.
And one of those people who finds the sight of either the Union Jack or the St George's Cross flag offensive. She said, you're right about our migrant crisis. She said, let's be clear. To couch anti-immigration rhetoric in the language of protecting women and girls is not only misleading, it's offensive. It's not. It's not
Kevin,
offensive.
It's not offensive. It's fact. We know that Afghanis are 20 times more likely to commit offences against women and girls rather than British citizens. We know this. The facts are there. But the trouble is that the left don't like this. Thanks to stations like Talk, we can actually talk about these things. In the past, we've been told to shut up, cover it up, gaslit, and not been able to discuss it, called racist. And these people have been found out, and allowing undocumented young men, as I say, from third world countries where women are not second-class citizens, they're fifth-class citizens, into this nation without any controls is putting women and girls at risk. And she's a silly fool for saying it's anything but that.
A sort of chink of light here. In response to Miss Spurrell's ludicrous speech, the head of the National Police Chiefs Council, a guy called Gavin Stevens, said of the police, "It is not for us to police flags." Good for him. Good for him.
Thank the Lord for that. Perhaps they can stop policing tweets as well. Flags, tweets.
Come on, man. One step at a time. Come on.
Let's get on with it. Let's get arresting those burglars, thieves, robbers and rapists again. Let's get back to basics.
But just generally speaking, this contempt, this hatred of our flag among great swathes of the population, I mean, it is unique to Britain. It is unique. No other country in the world doesn't like its own flags. I mean, to be fair, the Scottish love theirs, the Welsh love theirs, the Northern Irish love theirs, but the English hate theirs, and the British generally don't seem to like the Union Jack. Now, if you go to the States, where I used to live, or any country in the world, sure, there's a lot of left-wingers there, but they love their flag, they respect their flag. It's unique to Britain to hate our own flag. It's got to stop. It's got to stop.
I mean, I was out in the States and I was asked to take a part in a thing called Flags of the Brave, where they arrive with a flag that represents every serviceman killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. The whole community come out and hundreds of flags are laid out. There's a service. Yet in this country, well, you remember, this isn't new. In the 1930s, George Orwell said that there was too many intellectuals in this country who'd rather steal from the poor box than stand to attention and sing God Save the King. So it's not really changed. And we've got to get over this. But as I say, it is a matter of national emergency, because unless we can get young people to join the armed forces who are proud of their nation and willing to die for it, we're in a big problem with the threat from Russia, China, Islamic terrorism and whatever else. We need to get a grip of this.
Yeah, and to get a grip of it, you need a patriotic country. You need people who love their country. Too many people in this country see it as a badge of honour that they despise their country.
Kevin, a test is this. You speak to young children and say the word Nelson and see who they know it is. When I was a kid, that meant a man who'd won the Battle of Trafalgar, brave hero, died in that. You ask children now, it means Nelson Mandela. This is where the left have influenced education, have turned our children against national pride. So all our heroes, our flags are being robbed from us. It is a deliberate and wicked and evil policy of these people.
Yeah, left-wing woke teachers have got as much to answer for as left-wing woke coppers and left-wing woke Emily Spurrell. Mike, what a pleasure to talk to you. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Mike Neville there, former Met police detective. When we come back, we'll talk more about Ms Mahmood, Shabana Mahmood, and her various problems on the asylum seeker front. She's come up with all these proposals to radically reform our system, to get tough. Well, that's causing massive problems with her left-wing Labour backbenchers who hate everything she said. Also, I mean, really, is she going to get any of it through? Even if she does, what about the European Convention on Human Rights, European Court of Human Rights? Everything she wants will be overturned by a foreign court unless we left that court. Could do that, couldn't we, Shabs? Oh, you don't want to do that. Oh, well, there goes your plan then. We'll talk about that after this break.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Breaking news. There's a new YouGov poll out, and it has revealed that only 9% of the British population feel that Rachel from Accounts, or Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, is doing a good job. Well, I'm not surprised about that low number, but something about that figure does intrigue me. Who are these 9%? Who the hell in this country thinks that Rachel Reeves is doing a good job? If you've got any idea who those 9% of people are, I mean, does she have a big extended family? Is it the Reeves clan? Are they the people who think she's doing a good job? Is it, you know, the Treasury Department, all the people who work for her? I mean, have you met anyone who thinks Rachel Reeves is doing a good job? For the avoidance of doubt, Rachel Reeves is doing a catastrophically bad job. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. Let's move on to another member of the cabinet. She is the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, who's busy doing her tough woman act. I'm going to solve the migrant crisis with all these tough measures. Now, some of the measures, you know, they seem quite, well, I think they're quite good. The problem is, in the end, first of all, how many of them will she get past her backbenchers who are rebelling? You know, Labour is unravelling over ideas like we confiscate the jewellery and the valuables of all asylum seekers as soon as they arrive on our shore to help pay for their accommodation. That's even to me, that seems very draconian, but you know, I like the direction of travel there. There's this that you can't be considered for citizenship for 20 years. You can't necessarily bring your family over. We're learning today she's trying to close the loophole whereby if kids are born here, you know, so migrants come over, kids are born here, they become British nationals because they're born here, and their parents get citizenship or residency on the back of the kids that they had here. She's trying to close that loophole. All of this, I mean, it's quite sensible stuff. Trouble is, then you come up against the Labour backbenchers who hate every single word of this. Stella Creasy, that reliable lefty, called this entire plan performative cruelty. I think it was performative pursuit of headlines, because I don't think she's going to get it past A, her backbenchers, or B, the ECHR. Let's talk to Campaigns Director at Rupert Lowe's Restore Britain movement, Charlie Downs. Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm good. Well, first of all, I want to just focus in on this bit first, which sort of took my breath away. Some of these Labour left-wing backbenchers have warned in no uncertain terms the Home Secretary, stop doing what the electorate wants. Don't listen to the electorate. So that is a window into the dark psyche of Labour MPs. Never mind the people, it's all about us. Let us signal our virtue. That's more important than what the people want. But I think Shabana has probably got the numbers to get these proposals through Parliament, do you think?
Well, look, if they have any sense, the Labour government will recognise that. I saw some polling recently which suggested that illegal immigration, and specifically the use of asylum hotels in, you know, kind of people's neighbourhoods, people's communities, is the number one most salient, most concerning issue for a huge number, I think the majority of people in this country now. And I think there's a variety of reasons for that. I think the extensive media coverage that the issue has received is part of that. But I also do think that it is simply the lived experience of people watching their communities change, their town centres change, watching these kind of dodgy looking guys from the third world kind of hanging around in your town centres and so on. And so I think if the Labour government has any sense, they will recognise the electoral reality of the fact that if they don't pass reforms like the ones laid out in Mahmood's document, they're going to get crushed by reform at the next election, because reform, of course, are talking a good game on this issue, and so are the Tories, because it is so salient. And whether it does get through, I think, is another matter. It's been interesting to see the Tories come out and say that they will actually support these reforms if the Labour Party can't find the support on their own benches, which I think is actually quite admirable. We at Restore Britain have commended, as you say, Kevin, the direction of travel when it comes to these reforms. But once again, whether they are what they seem, I think, is the ultimate question here, because part of the document that a lot of people are, I think, missing is the fact that it says that it's going to expand so-called safe and legal routes by expanding the sponsorship program, which essentially allows local community groups and charities to sponsor refugees, so-called, to come into the country. And what that could lead to, I think, is actually a huge increase in the number of so-called asylum seekers that are coming to our country. And so this might actually prove to be a disaster. But we don't know that yet. And actually, you know what? I'm going to choose optimism on this occasion. I think that the fact that there is now a consensus from the Labour Party right the way through to Reform, almost the entire political landscape recognizes that this is a really, really important and pressing issue that is making life, substantially worse for a lot of people in this country. It's driving up crime, driving up the amount of tax money that we spend on the asylum system, Kevin, and the amount of money that we spend on universal credit for those with the refugee status. It's like upwards of 36 million on that latter one just last year.
I'm not entirely sure, though, Charlie, that I trust Shabana Mahmood as the hardline, tough as old boots alleged, crackdown Home Secretary. I'm not entirely sure I trust her. A lot of critics say that if you look at the details of her reforms, there are actually an enshrinement of our asylum system. This stuff about, you won't be considered for citizenship for at least 20 years. Think about that. There's no proposal about stopping the boats coming over at all. Nothing on that level whatsoever. No proposal, and I think this is massive. What we should be doing as a matter of massive urgency is making sure these people that we do let into the country, that we know who the hell they are. We are still letting thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of young men, frankly, of sexually active age, into the country about whom we know nothing. So there's no proposal to do anything about that. That is a problem. The other thing to say here is, of course, underpinning everything, it all sounded good, as I say. Stella Creasy called it performative cruelty. I call it performative headline hunting. Very good headline hunting it was too. However, underpinning all of her hardline proposals, many of which I quite approve of, as I say, the direction of travel certainly seems encouraging. But underpinning it is this old Labour story: we don't want to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. So everything she's saying about you won't be able to bring your family over in 20 years, and then we'll check every 3 years to see if your country is still at war. That, by the way, is that will not work. All of these hardline proposals, if after 3 years we decide that a country's not at war, we're sending you back, they go to the European Court of Human Rights and no doubt get the right to stay. If someone's not allowed to bring their family over, they go to the European Court of Human Rights, and they almost certainly will be allowed to bring their family over. So as long as we look, I always say that membership, leaving the ECHR, the European Convention on Human Rights, won't automatically solve our migrant crisis, but it is the essential starting block. If we don't leave the ECHR, none of these proposals of Shabana Mahmood can actually work in the end. So if we don't leave the ECHR, any proposal you ever make isn't going to work. Do you get my point?
Of course, and by the way, Kevin, I think that we, in a lot of ways, we are simplistic about this issue, because it's not even just the ECHR that is preventing us from deporting people from our country who shouldn't be here in the first place. In our policy paper, Mass Deportations, Legitimacy, Legality and Logistics, in which we lay out the legal obstacles to mass deportations, we go into the UN Refugee Convention, we go into the various other new Labour reforms around asylum, like the Immigration Act 1999, which also place roadblocks to the kinds of policies that we do need to implement if we want to solve this problem. Because as you know, our suggestion on a solution to this problem is quite simply to utterly tear out the pull factors that currently exist in this country and remove all, as many as 2 million illegal migrants who are currently here. And this kind of softly approach, and sure, there has been a marked increase in the intensity of rhetoric around this issue by the Labour government in the last 48 hours. But look, this solution that's being laid out by Mahmoud, as you say, I don't think it's going to get through. I think it will be blocked by human rights lawyers on the grounds, particularly of Article 8, because something that is quite a heavy feature of this document is it's basically the talk of family removals.
Yeah, but you can't, Charlie, she's ludicrous. She's saying, oh, we're staying in the ECHR, but I don't like Article 3 and I don't like Article 8, so we'll try and get rid of them. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What is this obsession about staying in the ECHR? Never mind Article 3 and 8, which is a right to a family life and whether or not you're going to get persecuted or ill treatment if you go back to your home country. Never mind about that. Why muck around with that? Just leave. What do we get out of membership of the ECHR? I'll tell you, I've looked into this at great length. Absolutely nothing. We should leave the ECHR. Then, only then, can we begin to solve this migrant crisis. But because she doesn't want to leave it, because Keir Starmer, human rights lawyer, of course, Richard Hermer, the Attorney General, human rights lawyer, because they don't want to leave, the migrant crisis is just going to get worse and worse and worse. Charlie, really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. Charlie Downs there, campaigns director at Restore Britain. That's Rupert Lowe's movement. He's very keen to call it a movement, not a party. Next up, we're going to talk about the BBC. They've had to issue yet another grovelling apology. What is going on at the state broadcaster? What a mess. That next.
In terms of your question around taxes, there are no additional tax rises needed beyond the ones that I've set out.
Don't need to increase taxes. I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes.
I will not increase your national insurance. I will not increase your VAT, and I will not increase your income tax.
We don't need to come back for more. We've done that now. We've wiped the slate clean.
The economic circumstances have declined, deteriorated since a year ago. We are having to look at taxes and spending.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the BBC now. Another day, another blunder. The British Blundering Corporation. Unbelievable. They've had to apologise to Catherine, Princess of Wales, during their coverage of the memorials services to commemorate Armistice Day, which of course the royals all attend. They kept referring to her as Kate Middleton. You know, apparently she hates being called Kate anyway. I always call her Kate, but I don't call her Kate Middleton anymore. I mean, she hasn't been Kate Middleton for a long time, ever since she married Prince William. Really bizarre that they did this. They've now had to issue yet another apology. So Meanwhile, Donald Trump's lawsuit, his $5 billion lawsuit against the BBC for twisting the truth about his Capitol Hill speech on January the 6th, 2021, continues apace. This is becoming now beyond a sick joke. Something needs to be done about our state broadcaster. Let's talk to the director at Popular Conservatism, Mark Littlewood. Mark, thanks for joining us. This gets worse and worse and worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, another day, another BBC disaster, really. I mean, we can distinguish, let me try and show some sort of spirit of generosity towards them, Kev, desperately difficult to do so. You could say this was a live broadcast, so, you know, it's not as if they had time to reflect. It's more like a kind of loose-lipped presenter making a mistake live on air. That sort of stuff happens. That said, as you pointed out, this was, you know, Memorial Day, something that you can prepare for, something around which you would expect to get all of your protocols right about exactly how to address who, exactly what to say, the precise right wording in each and every case, and they completely failed to do that. So, as I say, another day, another BBC disaster. And you know what? All of these disasters and mistakes and apologies, they're all on the same side of the ledger, isn't it? If they were just accident prone, you might think that sometimes they would make a mistake that was too pro-royal family or too pro-Israel or too pro-Donald Trump. Or too anti-LGBT. But no, all of the mistakes seem to be on the
one
same
side of the fence, aren't they? I mean, don't forget also, Mark, that, you know, this wasn't just an offhand mistaken comment. They repeatedly called her Kate Middleton throughout this broadcast. Viewers complained that this was appalling and disrespectful. You know, there are worse crimes, I suppose. But as I actually know for a fact that Catherine, even when she was Kate Middleton, hates being called Kate. It's just it's a thing of hers. So no wonder they got in trouble about this. But they got this wrong, very, very badly wrong. And it is one more reason to start thinking about how much longer are we supposed to pay the best part of 180 quid a year for our TV licenses for this constant blundering. And in terms of the Donald Trump lawsuit, the BBC's approach to it, I find breathtaking. It is ridiculous. They say it's not defaming. He has no case for defamation. And then they go, we've said sorry. What more does he want? Yeah. Or other broadcasting outlets, for example, Talk or ITV or Channel 4 or newspaper companies, be it The Sun, The Times, The Telegraph, The Mail. If you commit a libel against someone, then yes, you have to say sorry, but you also have to pay a lot of money. That's the way it goes, financial compensation. Why do you think the BBC thinks that uniquely it should be spared this punishment?
Well, because, Kev, at the BBC, there's such a collective hive mind. They all believe they're virtuous. I think even after this Trump story, you know, broke and Tim Davie and Deborah Turness, the head of news, had to resign, they didn't really do so with a kind of grovelling apology. They said how proud they were of the BBC, how brilliant its journalism was, and all of the rest of it. And, you know, clearly it was egregious party political propaganda. I mean, I think even if the Democrat Party in America, you know, Donald Trump's, you know, opponents had spliced together footage like that, they would have faced legal action and would have been loath to do so. So, again, it speaks to an intrinsic bias, but also this rather lofty view that they are also virtuous and holier than thou and no better than the plebs, that if anything does go wrong, it must surely just have been a slip of the pen. And why wouldn't people just accept an apology? So they're in a huge hole here. And the legal fees that they're going to have to face in Florida if Trump really does pursue this, and I suspect he will, are going to be colossal. Win or lose.
Exactly right, and he will pursue it. I know Nigel Farage has revealed the depth, Nigel Farage, of course, being a friend of Trump, the depth of Donald's fury over this. And when the BBC said, oh, it's defamation, come on, it's not defamation, he wasn't damaged at all. Libel is about defaming someone. If I libel you, I defame you in the minds of right-thinking people. So I say something about you that isn't true that makes people feel worse about you. Now, can you think to commit insurrection and revolution against the government. There is no worse a libel. So their contention at the BBC that this isn't much, it is quite the reverse. It is about as bad a libel as you can imagine.
Yeah, Kev, you're absolutely right. And I think it's worth distinguishing two things here. One is defamation. Is it defamatory? And then the second is how much damage did it cause, right? And it's worth splitting those two. So you could make an appalling defamatory statement about somebody and you would be guilty of defamation, and a court would find you guilty of defamation. And then the court considers, well, how much damage did it cause? Now, you might think that this was a terrible, egregious, completely false defamatory statement by the BBC, which it was. And they might claim, but not very many people in America saw it, and not many of those would have changed their mind, and Donald Trump won the election anyway, so it didn't cause him much damage. But that goes to damages, not the principle of whether it was defamatory. And it would just be a sign that not many people watch the BBC or listen to it. If it didn't cause him a great deal of damage, it doesn't go to whether it was defamatory in itself. And if you've got our national broadcaster making what are clearly defamatory, inaccurate, politically biased statements against the leader of the free world, then, as you say, how much longer are we going to put up with paying a licence fee compulsory just to have that channel on air for 180 quid a year per household? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you know, this programme, what was it called, Trump Second Chance, was broadcast in October, just before the last presidential election, and the BBC's defence, or part of its pathetic defence. I don't know what kind of legal advice they're getting, but I think I could help them because they're going down the wrong road right now, I'll tell you that. But the part of their defence is, well, it wasn't screened in America. It's like, well, BBC, I'd like to introduce you to 2025. That is a really arcane defence. In fact, YouTube, every programme is screened all over the world, so that's not going to fly either.
But Kev, even more than that, there would be a good number of American expats in the United Kingdom who vote by post.
Exactly,
you know, many thousands, and they could have seen it. Many would have seen it.
Totally right, Mark.
Their vote.
They're in deep trouble on this. Mark, really good to speak to you. Mark Littlewood there, Director of Popular Conservatism. When we come back, we are going to bring you much more, so stick around. We've got a hell of a show lined up for you. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We need to talk about Prince Andrew. Coming up in the show, we're about to talk to the brilliant royal author Andrew Lowney, and in a little while I'm going to be talking to a former Met Police detective, a guy called John Wedger. I've had on my show a couple of times before, and he is desperately trying to pass information to the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, to say that when Sadiq says, oh, I don't know if we've got a rape gang problem, well, John knows that we have a serious rape gang problem, and he says the authorities keep rejecting his information. So when Sadiq Khan tries to contend that the capital city is the only place in Britain that doesn't have a rape gang problem, a rape gang scandal, John Wedger will tell us the real story. It does, and it's serious. Also, a record number of Brits moving abroad under Labour. 257,000 people emigrated last year. Everybody's had enough of this government. And also, we'll bring you that extraordinary story of the multi-millionaire businessman who shocked boat owners in the billionaire's town of Montauk in Long Island. Suddenly saw running down the gangplank, absolutely naked, in a state of high panic, bizarrely throwing suntan lotion at other boats, trying to attract their attention. It's the most amazing story. No one knows why he was naked. He's got a story, no one believes it. And there's a dead young Irish girl involved as well. So what a story that is. We'll bring you that later on. Now, first though, let's talk about Prince Andrew. Now, we know that Prince Andrew, what am I saying? Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. We know that this guy's in big trouble. The Epstein files have caused him enough trouble as it is, releasing more and more information about his relationship when he was Prince Andrew with the billionaire paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, a man who supplied young girls to rich and powerful men. But last night, Congress or the Senate approved and Congress voted and President Trump signed off on the full release of all of the Epstein files. So far, they've just been coming out drip, 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 and they've done enough trouble. They've caused enough trouble already. But when the whole lot comes out, God only knows what's going to happen. And it's going to spell, one thing we know, it's going to spell very, very, very bad news for Andrew Mountbatten, Mountbatten Windsor, and his nightmare is only going to get even worse, which is extraordinary. Now, in a way, this guy's sort of downhill slide began with the publication of the amazing book by my next guest. It's The Rise and Fall of the House of York, and it's entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, and its author is the excellent Andrew Lowney, who joins us now. Welcome, Andrew. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to chat to you.
Now, as I said, you've been pretty strong in what you've said in the past, that you think it's a very serious possibility that as more and more revelations come out about Prince Andrew, or Andrew Mountbatten Windsor as he is now, and Jeffrey Epstein and what he got up to in those dark years, that it is not beyond the realms of possibility that the former Prince Andrew could end up behind bars.
Yes, well, I mean, I think you probably skipped to the Middle East before that happens. But yeah, this is bad news for him. I mean, I never expected this to happen. I mean, the Trump administration have fought for years to suppress this material. They can see that for its sort of voting base that it was being very damaging. And it's another case of people power, and the way that people power, I think, shifted attitudes here so that the king took away Andrew's titles and forced him out of Royal Lodge. So I think we've got several things that may be happening. We may get a stronger sense of the extent of the relationship Andrew had with Epstein, when it actually began much earlier than he says, that it went on much later than he says. I think that'll be also true of Sarah Ferguson. I think we are also going to possibly get other victims coming forward, girls who were sent to him. Part of the case has always been Virginia Giuffre was a discredited witness. She was only 17. But we may have younger girls who may well now be discovered or come forward. I think clearly we may get lots of other names, particularly American names, but also possibly some British names. So we don't know what we don't know. But from my research, there's certainly going to be some bombshells. As you said, only a few of these emails that have leaked so far have really caused quite a lot of damage already. And this is going to be even bigger.
So, we've all watched as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has fallen so far. And we assumed, well, he can fall no further. But that is not the case. These Epstein files could make his nightmare even worse than it already is. There was a story only a couple of weeks ago that they're already in the frame, allegedly, of girls that Epstein may have supplied to the then Prince Andrew. There's one other name already, but we're assuming there could be more. And this is what Epstein did. He gathered around him powerful, rich, influential men and sort of bought their favour, curried their favour by showing them a good time, supplying them with girls that were recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell. To this day, the only person who's gone to jail for this scandal. Always find that kind of hard to swallow, really. This is a scandal of men. The only person who's gone to jail for it is a woman. But more women connected to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, as you say. Epstein wasn't fussy about their actual age. If there's anyone underage in that list of shame for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, he's in deep trouble, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. And as you say, there is a name that's been mentioned in the press without actually giving the name. I know of other girls, and I think we may find that there are other girls that are younger than Virginia Giuffre. So, yes, it's not looking good for him at all. And of course, what it might also do is give some leads for journalists to do their own research and find more material. It may bring some of the victims forward, either willingly or not. So it's not just what's in the files, it's what the files might lead to that I think is going to cause him some worry. I don't think he'll be sleeping well tonight.
In your research, what you know, obviously there are things you know that you can't say at this juncture. I mean, you implied then that there may be girls connected to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor in the past supplied by Epstein who were actually underage.
Yes, that's certainly what I think I have been able to discover. Yeah, I have to be careful what I say, but yes, I do think that this will uncover other girls that he was involved with or were trafficked to him.
So potentially, we've got to say allegedly, the Andrew formerly known as Prince Andrew, could end up on a paedophile rap, which is extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt that, the more likely charges are financial, and I think those may still come, but it's going to put extra pressure on the law enforcement agencies here to actually do a proper investigation. I don't think they've done that in the past. I think, the public pressure is that, he must be held accountable, and anyone else who emerges in these files. And I think so there will be pressure on these enforcement agencies to actually do proper investigations. So, yeah, I don't think it's looking at all good for him. He can refuse to give evidence to these organizations. I mean, whether it's the Senate or the victims' lawyers or whoever it is. But it's not looking, the optics look terrible. And though he, as you say,
happened to all these poor girls who fell into Epstein's evil web, if you see what I'm saying.
Yep. Well, I agree. It isn't a good look, and I think that's why they distance themselves. And he's been stripped of his titles and basically being sort of exiled. They want this problem to go away. They don't want to be associated with him. But you know, he is actually a pretty obstinate figure, and we know that he's playing hardball about the terms on which he's prepared to move from Royal Lodge. And I don't think he'll worry about the shame and the embarrassment he's bringing on the monarchy and his family, his close family members. So all they can do is say, look, we did our best. We have nothing to do with him. Do with him as you wish. And I think he will be in some ways a sacrificial lamb to try and sort of draw a line under this problem.
You've written at great length in your excellent book about, you know, his extremely shady financial dealings and how when he was Britain's trade envoy, he egregiously abused that position by, you know, flying around the world at taxpayers' expense, always usually avoiding staying at British embassies and choosing instead five-star hotels that happen to be attached to golf courses, but also along the way feathering his own nest, making shady deals with even shadier billionaires. So his financial affairs, I mean, I suspect there could be more problems revolving around that for him as well.
Yes, I mean, I think so. I mean, I would like the government to release all the files connected with his time as a trade envoy from 2001 to 2011, which they have closed. I mean, they've even given, under an FOI request, they said that nothing on Prince Andrew will be released till 2065. And I think, you know, Parliament should be pressing to have these files released so we know who were on these trips. It's rumoured that Epstein was one of the people, who he saw and what he did. And I think, and I've spent 4 years trying to get access to this material. I mean, even today I had another request basically saying they had nothing. And I think that would certainly shed a lot of light on his activities. But of course, he was enabled by so many people, diplomats, politicians, civil servants, that in some ways this is going to open a whole can of worms, and they'd prefer not to go there. But yeah, this story has a long way still to run, and it has several strands: the financial, the sexual, the British, the American, and more names will emerge. I think possibly even quite senior British politicians, and the Mandelson story will seem pretty small compared to some of the things that I think may emerge.
It really is remarkable, all of this stuff. But so what you're saying with your FOI request and your quest to find out what he got up to when he was trade envoy, when he was frankly, they used to call him Air Miles Andy, didn't they? When he was frankly abusing that position, he's still, despite how far he's fallen, he's still being protected by a kind of royal deference.
Yeah, and it's extraordinary. I was talking to a member of the household only a few days ago, and they were saying that they still had staff, both Sarah Ferguson and Andrew, that they were still entertaining people in Buckingham Palace, business associates. Sarah Ferguson was coming in to do her laundry, you know, which is extraordinary. And so in some ways,
now.
Supposedly, yeah, pretty recently.
Oh my God!
I think it's called the laundry room, or the linen room, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And staff were being told that they had to do it. So you know, and we had, after all, at the Duchess of Kent's funeral, I mean, he had a police escort from Windsor. I mean, I don't know who authorised that, but he wasn't, you know, has long not been a working royal. So in some ways, they're saying one thing in public, but actually doesn't seem to be much is changing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I did hear that the King is a soft-hearted fellow, I do believe, who still, despite everything, performatively, he's talking a tough game about his brother, and he has been pretty tough on him, to be fair. But I did hear that when he does finally get to Sandringham, he will be given a staff to look after him. He'll have cooks, butlers, all that sort of thing, and he'll get quite a generous personal allowance from the monarch. So in the end, Charles, the punishment that it looks as if Charles has dished out is not quite as severe as some people think.
No, and I think he'll be paid quite large sums of money to leave Royal Lodge. But the problem is I don't think it's just being soft-hearted. The problem is he has this cast iron lease, and the only way to get him out is to make it attractive for him to go. He's not going to do it because from the goodness of his heart. And he's, very keen to get conditions, for example, for his daughters, that they remain within the royal family, retain their titles. He's very keen to ensure that nothing changes when William comes to the throne. So he's in quite a strong position. So I do feel sorry for the king, because he's trying his best with actually a slightly limited set of cards.
So all those stories about like 3-4 weeks ago, when it was over and out, he's lodged, he's gone, he's going to go to Sandringham, that's it, he's had to agree, he's been shamed. They were all a bit premature. The negotiations continue right now.
Absolutely, yes. And I think, I'm not sure it's still absolutely certain that he will go to Sandringham. I think there's still a lot of things left in the open. And, quite when he leaves Royal Lodge, again, has been very much left open. They clearly don't want it in Sandringham around Christmas, but it's clearly a bit of downsizing to go on. But, I think there's a lot still to be agreed. And so a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. A lot of it's what is window dressing, to try and satisfy the public mood without actually necessarily giving all the concessions that people are hoping for.
Just before you go, Andrew, thanks again for joining us. Always a pleasure. How has this happened to this guy? What is it about his personality, his character, that has brought him to this low ebb?
Well, it's a good question, and funny enough, I was talking the other day, and a woman popped up out of the audience who was his nanny in the 1960s. And she stressed that, he'd had a lot of discipline and he'd been taught right from wrong. But, the feeling I got when I researched it was that he really had never been disciplined, and he had got away with things, and he carried on like that. I mean, for example, at Gordonson, he didn't feel that the rules applied to him. We get that with golf clubs, for example, in Switzerland, where he doesn't switch his mobile off. So he just does his own thing. And I think, as you say, this deference has allowed people just to turn a blind eye and let him get on with it. And it is odd, because his siblings aren't like that. Someone described him as the runt of the litter. He is very different, and he's pretty shameless. I mean, he seems pretty thick-skinned.
Yeah, pretty thick, I think, is the word you're looking for as well.
Well, thick as well, yeah, thick and thick-skinned.
A quick last word, Andrew. What about Fergie? What will become of her? You just said she's still getting her washing done in Buckingham Palace. Is she still clinging on to the royal connection for all she's worth, or will she, as we were told, be made to just make her own way in life from now on?
Well, it's strange. I mean, she's been keen to live with him for the last 30 years, and now he's downsizing, she's less keen. Having been the happiest divorced couple ever. But yeah, I think she's going to fly to pastures new. She can see that he's toxic to her brand, and she's all about brands. And I think she's going to pop up somewhere. She's plotting her return. She's the Rasputin of the royal family. You can't keep her down.
Oh dear. Who will rid her of this awkward redhead? Andrew, fantastic to talk to you. Thank you once again for your time. Andrew Lownie, the author of Entitled, The Rise and Fall of the House of York, sensational biography that really set this ball rolling. It was about 3 months ago, wasn't it? Serialised in the Daily Mail. Amazing book about that awful couple. And now look at them. Now, next up, we're going to be talking he's going to be in the studio, a former Met Police detective who has words for Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, who says, we don't have a rape gang problem. We do. And my next guest will tell you all about it. That next.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now calm down everybody, try not to get too excited, but later on in the show I'm going to play you the brand new video, the promo video for With Love Meghan, Netflix's Christmas special, its holiday special of the Duchess of Sussex's cooking dirge. So that later on the show. Try to calm down, don't get too worked up, but that will come later. But let's deal with something very serious now. Well, in the studio I've got John Wedger, former Met detective and a whistleblower, about the long-running rape gang problem we've had in the city. Now, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, finally seems to have got onto the roundabout and worked out, oh yes, maybe we do have a problem. But John has been, well, basically shouting about this for many years now, to no avail. Only recently, Sadiq Khan acted in the London Assembly like he said, I don't know what you're talking about. He was asked by Susan Hall, the Tory leader, said, you know, rape gangs, grooming gangs. He said, do you mean county line gangs? He said, no, rape gangs, grooming gangs. You've probably seen it in the papers, might have read about it, you know, maybe on the telly. He acted like he'd never even heard of it. He now seems to be changing his tune. He's finally accepting that maybe, just maybe, the capital city of this country has the same problem as lots of other cities and towns around the country. That is that grooming gangs are operating, preying on children, child sex abusers. Well, as I say, John Wedger is with us now. John, thanks for coming in. Why do you think Sadiq Khan took so long to acknowledge what you've been talking about for years?
Well, when I started getting national media attention, my name started getting out there. But on social media, I'm well known. I'm well known really in a lot of the working class areas of this country for my stance on it. So people know who I am. And I've been calling out for victims and survivors to be coming forward and reporting their crimes to the police, whether they do anything or not. And I think that when this actually sort of ended up getting into the households of the United Kingdom, I think the Met Police were flooded and inundated with victims and survivors reporting their crimes. And I think they were outraged at what the response of the mayor was to this problem, this total dissonance that it doesn't go on.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like deja vu. This was the problem in the north. This was the problem when the scourge of rape gang activity first arrived, or first raised its ugly head, because authorities, coppers, social workers, local politicians all turned their backs and acted like it wasn't happening. Sadiq Khan did this until very, very recently. I mean, to what extent are you responsible for the fact that the Met Police has now turned around and said we may have 9,000 historic cases to look into?
Well, I like to think that collectively we've been highly instrumental in this change. Whether they'll admit to it, we'll never know. But as a result of what we've done, you know, we're now known throughout, you know, let's say this is a collective media campaign throughout the UK for our stance on this sort of anti-child grooming gangs rhetoric, whereas there has just been an institutional denial throughout. I just hope that it continues with great momentum.
And you've got the way that they've been operating in this country, in this city rather, in London, in the capital. They've been these gangs, these awful people. They've been getting kids from children's homes, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's one of them things where if you don't look for it, you'll never see it. This needs a national crime agency response, and it needs proactivity. You know, I looked into this many years ago, and it'll actually be a lot worse in my opinion, because they haven't got the proactive units to deal with it, because they just shut us down when we get too near the knuckle, as it were. But it took me 10 minutes to find 10 children, and I mean children, girls and boys of all nationalities, that were being, and I'll say it in the vernacular, pimped out. 10 minutes. So if it found me, one person, if I could find 10 in 10 minutes, you think what a national crime agency response could do, you know?
Yeah, well, this is, I think I'm right in saying this is about 6 weeks or so after Sadiq Khan said, I don't know what you're talking about. Grooming against rape? Do you mean county lines? Well, Met Police, thanks to you, I think, John, are now investigating 9,000 historic cases. And Sadiq Khan finally is now at least ostensibly acknowledging there may well be a problem here. He says that this is a statement from the mayor. Any individuals, groups or grooming gangs exploiting children for sex are utterly abhorrent. Yeah, well, thanks, Sadiq. I think we can all agree on that. And I want justice for every single victim of these horrific crimes. These children have not only suffered terrible abuse at the hands of the perpetrators, but have also been woefully let down by the authorities meant to protect them from harm. Do you think that would include him?
Yeah, I was going to say woefully let down by him.
Yeah.
His response to Susan Hall was just insulting to victims and survivors of the most appalling crime. You think the damage that is done to these people, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. How many suicides are connected to childhood abuse? It's just unbelievable. For me, policing in respect to children must be the priority. You must put children first. And I think that his U-turn, or his admission that something is going on, is done out of shame. I think he's been inundated with probably hate mail, victims and survivors speaking in, and same with the Metropolitan Police. And I think it's pure shame that's made him do this.
And for the avoidance of doubt, right now, children are being abused here in the capital city.
Of course. And it wouldn't take... Because I put out a challenge when I was on your show last time, that I will get Mark Rowley and I'll show you how big this problem is, and I will also show you how to deal with it. And I did the same thing to Khan. If you really want to deal with it, I'll show you how to deal with it. So to, put my money where my mouth was, I went out with an investigative journalist, and within 90 minutes we found a young girl that had been doing this sort of crime from the age of 14. We were then told of 3 other young kids that were on the streets of the East End of London. And when I approached the working girls and said, do you ever see police down here? They all said no. They never come down and look for kids.
And you say that children's homes are involved in this. So are the authorities, the people who run the children's homes, are they guilty? Or
the whole thing's a sham, because what happens is they offset the kids into these sort of looked after venues, right? There is a term for them. So they're sort of in their sort of teen years, and where they should be in proper regulated kids' homes, which are governed by Ofsted, there is these organisations that are totally independent that set themselves up as care homes. They're not regulated by Ofsted. They cash in on it, £2,000 per child per week. Some of them can have up to 6 kids. You're talking serious money. And where is the welfare for the kids? There is none. And once the kids are in there, they're predated on, not only by those that know that it's a children's home, but the sad thing is they also encourage the other kids that are involved in this criminality to get the new ones that come into the homes involved in it.
How long ago should Sadiq Khan have acknowledged that the capital city, London, has a big rape gang? How long ago should he have?
He should have inherited it. He should have taken it on from Boris Johnson, and Ken Livingstone should have done the same. He should have known from the first day he walked into office this was going on.
I mean, you're angry with Sadiq Khan, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely raging. Yeah, no, he should have been removed. He is not protecting society's most vulnerable, and that's the children. He's not doing it.
And you've got, the children's homes involved.
Yeah.
Have you supplied that list to the Met Police?
Yep. I've supplied that list, and the Met Police had it anyway, right? And then when I initially supplied it to them, I was threatened with the loss of my home, my job, and my children if I spoke out. So this was this is what angered me. The Daily Standard brought out an article today, and there was a Met Police's response to this, and they said that we take all allegations seriously. We will deal with them with the utmost severity. We will track down the offenders. We will arrest them, and we will prosecute them. It's a lie. I mean, that is just a corporate response. If the public really knew the truth, with that statement that was in the Standard, if they compared that to the statement that was said to me, if you mention a word of this, you will lose your home, your job, and your children. Who's telling the truth and who's lying? You know?
Exactly. How many kids do you think will be involved in the...
So many. I mean...
When you say so many,
take the London Borough of Haringey. It had 26 kids' homes. The average kid home had 5 children. Out of that, probably 3/4 of the children were involved in being...
So that borough by borough, you're talking about hundreds of kids?
Maybe thousands. We'll never know.
In the London...
We'll never know.
It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. I mean, yeah, Khan, though, at least is at the races now, but better late than never, I suppose, John. But
I think we've done an amazing job, and I just hope the momentum keeps going, because we know the truth.
John, great work by you. Well done. John Wedger there, former Met detective and whistleblower as well, who's been trying to tell Sadiq Khan about this for years. Finally, Sadiq Khan is conceding that the capital city, London, does have a rape gang problem. Only recently, up until recently, he kept saying no, no, no. Absolutely ridiculous. Thank you, John. Next up, we are going to be talking about the record number of Brits moving abroad. 257,000 emigrated from Starmer's Britain last year. Surprised it's only that few, really. We'll talk about that next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, the exodus continues apace. Ever since Labour came in 16 months ago, more and more and more people have been leaving the country. Last year, extraordinary figures. 257,000 emigrated, left the country to live abroad. More than 250,000. This is, of course, because of punishing taxes, just a feeling that the country's falling apart at the seams. The attractiveness of places like Dubai and Milan, which have much better tax rates. It's just a disaster, you know, the migration crisis, just the feeling that there's something wrong with Great Britain. They're all leaving. Let's talk to political commentator Benedict Spence. Benedict, I mean, there have been attempts by the Labour movement to suggest that reports of the exodus of more and more people leaving the country have been somewhat exaggerated. That's not true. 257,000 people emigrating last year. That's an extraordinarily high number.
It is, and it reflects actually what a lot of people have felt anecdotally for a very long time. I mean, I'll take my personal circumstances as an example. So my immediate sort of friend group from school, group of lads that I've known from about knee height, there's about 11 of us. One of them now lives in the United States, in Seattle. One of them lives in Dubai. One of them lives in Switzerland. One of them lives in Australia. Another one is on the cusp of moving to France. If you repeat this sort of pattern, sort of across the entirety of the country, so this is one group and that's about half of the people have already gone. And to be clear, others would probably have left if they didn't have sort of closer ties at home. If you repeat that pattern across the country, you're going to see, as you've just sort of alluded to, hundreds of thousands of people leaving. Initially, of course, it was high net worth individuals who were leaving because they feared Labour's tax regime, the millionaires, all that sort of thing. They saw the writing on the wall and they left. But increasingly, it's not those people. It's not the super rich. It is the sort of the aspirational, upcoming middle classes. It's people who want to start businesses, want to get on in life, they want to have families, but feel they're not able to under the current set of circumstances. And when you bear in mind that the tax burden in this country is increasingly falling on those people, and there's only 9 million people, I'll say that again, 9 million net tax contributors in this country. Well, when it's a matter of 250,000 leaving a year, that's deeply concerning.
Can I just say that I am very much an active member of those 9 million taxpayers. My tax bill is a national disgrace, if you ask me. But seriously, I mean, making jokes about myself, but if I could, I'd be out of here because the taxes I have to pay are just extraordinary. And also, just this whole pervasive atmosphere of this country at the moment. Next week or the week after, we get the budget, which is going to sort of be like a great big boot stamping on the entire country, killing growth, killing aspiration, killing optimism, to be honest with you. So, as you say, in the past, the stories have been, we're losing a millionaire every 45 minutes. The millionaires, the rich wealth makers, they're all leaving. Well, that's true. But as you quite rightly say, that has now spread to anybody or to many, many people who aren't millionaires. They just don't want to pay punitive taxes. They want to live in an optimistic atmosphere. They don't want to live in a country where there's no growth. They want to live in a country where there's opportunities. And all of this under Labour, all of these aspects of what should be a healthy society are just not happening.
The thing is, of course, you've also got to think, where are the opportunities? So us being in the UK, obviously the Anglosphere, we all speak English. A lot of our qualifications are easily transferable to places like the United States. We all know, of course, about the phenomenon of doctors and nurses moving to Canada and to Australia and to New Zealand as well. But increasingly, you mentioned Dubai. There are lots of people moving to the Gulf, and not just Dubai, other Gulf states have followed suit. A lot of them are opening up, a lot of them are liberalizing. It's a lot easier to live in places like Qatar or Kuwait than it was a few years ago, but also increasingly in Europe. Places like the Mediterranean, Portugal, Italy, Spain, Malta, Greece, all of these countries have very good tax arrangement for retirees, but also for young digital nomads, for sort of mobile individuals who can work online, very agreeable tax arrangements and visa arrangements, because they can see what's happening in the UK and they think, well, let's offer, you cited Milan as an example. That's very much people moving from the for the financial sector. But in the south of Italy or Greece, for instance, lots of those islands in Greece are thinking, well, we don't have a lot of people living here in the sort of the off season, in the non-peak season. Let's make it very agreeable tax-wise for young digital nomads from the UK and places like that to come and live here and pay almost no tax. Excuse me, a flat rate of about 15% for the first 6 that you live there. Well, when you bear in mind that there are some people paying that marginal rate of 40+% in the UK, it's a bit of a no-brainer that lots of people would move there. And we go back to it again, there's no route out of this. All that we see from Labour is the prospect of the taxes going up and up, increasing over time. And that burden of people that it falls on, 9 million people, that's a tiny fraction of the 70-odd million that actually live here. And when you consider that half of people in the UK don't pay any real tax at all, it's not surprising that those people who are thinking, look, we've been told multiculturalism, internationalism, open borders, that's just part of the course. Well, why don't we take that for ourselves? Why don't we go elsewhere and let those people rot here and actually inherit the system that they've come to take from?
Absolutely, and the budget, Rachel from Accounts' budget is on November the 26th. It's expected to be a killer, the budget from hell, her second budget from hell. We can expect, I would imagine, Benedict, that the rate of people emigrating, getting the hell out of Dodge, out of this country, will accelerate.
You'd imagine so, and then of course you've had the trailing of the idea of the outgoing tax, the exit tax, the idea that your assets might actually be taxed if you decide to have the gall to leave the country.
So they make us all prisoners in the country. They make us prisoners.
There's no better way of saying to young aspirational people, oh, things are going to go badly, as if you've got Rachel Reeves, the only person on the border are going to be tax collectors. No actual border force, it's just tax collectors going, please, can you give us some money as you leave, rather than stopping people in. That's ultimately, I think, what a lot of people see. Now, when you've got the prospect of potentially reform coming in a few years, this isn't going to be permanent, I don't think. A lot of people are looking as a short-term thing, and as I say, those European systems where it's sort of 4, 5, 6 years, that's not leaving forever. That's a sort of a temporary thing. But they will be doing that with one eye on the prospect of another government coming in a few years and reversing that. But you don't want to take that chance. You don't want to push those people away in the first place, because there's every chance that they won't come back. And ultimately, there's, as much as we're all sort of sitting here assuming it's a fait accompli, that reform will come in and that they'll form a government at some point, never say never in this country.
Absolutely not. Benedict, really good to have your company as always. Benedict Spence there, political commentator. Everybody leaving the exodus. And it will get worse after the budget. The budget is going to be a nightmare. If you thought last October's was terrible, the biggest tax grab in modern history, £40 billion last October, this one's going to be bigger and it's going to be a mess. So more and more people are going to leave the country. I didn't realise that, what Benedict's saying, that as you leave, it looks like old Rachel might charge you. Well, you've got to give us some money before you're allowed to go. No, I think I'll just fly out, thanks very much. Extraordinary. Next up, we're going to talk about this very, very mysterious case of the multi-millionaire businessman seen running down a gangplank of an upmarket marina in Long Island, a place called Montauk. On his yacht was a dead young Irish girl. That is a story that's shrouded in mystery. We'll try to get to the bottom of it. After the break, Samara Gill, ace reporter, my producer for my evening show as well. She's been looking into this. And Samara and I will also have the joy of critiquing, seeing Meghan's new promotional video for her holiday special, her Christmas special of her cooking dirge on Netflix. What's it called? With Love Meghan. With Love Meghan. We think it'll be the last ever episode, at least we're hoping it will be. We'll talk about that next, and the mystery in Montauk. Stick around.
breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the Home of Common Sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In the studio is my producer, Samara Gill. She's also ace reporter, and she'll be presenting the political asylum, which you usually have to put up with me on it, but it's much better company tonight. Samara will be doing the show from 7 until 10, but I thought I'd get her in early because she's been looking into a story that I find extremely intriguing. It's the story of a young Irish fashion designer, wannabe fashion designer, named Martha Noland. Her business was in a bit of trouble, so she got in touch with an insurance mogul, a man with a lot of money called Christopher Dernan. He said, "You're looking for money?" He said, "Come up and see me in Montauk." Montauk is a very flash place in the north of Long Island, billionaires row, if you like. Big marina there with lots of luxury yachts. He took her out on his yacht. Something happened. There's the marina, we're looking at it now. Something happened. He came back, and then other boat owners were stunned. They suddenly saw him running down the gangplank past all these yachts with nothing on, absolutely nothing on, bizarrely hurling a bottle of suntan lotion at other boats, trying to raise the alarm. Well, Samara, pick up the story. What on earth has happened here?
Look, Martha Nolan, who is an Irish girl, you know, she moved with the best intentions to America, yes, to set up her fashion label. She'd moved to Manhattan. She was building a swimwear brand called Duper, and she'd recently finalized an uncontested divorce. So she was reportedly in a relationship with a man called Nicholas DeRubio, and they were meant to get married shortly after that divorce. So, you know, she was having her fresh start in life. Then, on the 4th of August, she met an insurance executive called Christian Duran, who you've mentioned, yes, at the Montauk Yacht Club. Very fancy, very ritzy. The meeting was pushed back. However, when she was on the boat, aptly named the Ripple, her friends didn't hear from her, and they didn't hear from her for several hours. She then texted them saying that she was okay.
She's enjoying the sunset.
Yeah,
on
enjoying
this,
the
drinking
sunset.
champagne, looking at the sunset out on this guy's boat, right?
Then around, I think it was 9:20, a friend messaged saying maybe she's dead. She then replied, "I'm not. I'm at the yacht club now." But at midnight, Nolan, the girl, was found very unresponsive. She was at the dock, and neighbours reportedly heard screams from the dock. Duran, the man in question, was seen running naked down a dock, throwing sunscreen and calling for help.
Yeah, and his lawyer subsequently has come up with the excuse, and this is what I find very intriguing and frankly very questionable, that something had happened with Martha,
yes,
and that she had, excuse this, but she sort of vomited profusely, and that his clothes were covered in her sick. And that's why he'd taken all his clothes off and then run down the gangplank, hurling sunscreen at other boats trying to raise the alarm. Now, look, Samara. If it was me, I don't suppose I'd ever be in that kind of position, mainly because I haven't got enough money to buy a yacht. But you know, I wouldn't take all my clothes off. Do you know what I mean? This nude bit, I can't get my head round. Can you?
Well, let's just say that apparently it was reported that she went to the bathroom 2 times. Now, there were substances that were found on board, white powdery stuff.
Oh, really?
It was found kind of all over the deck. So let's just say that there may have been drugs involved.
Yeah.
We know about this guy, the naked man, Christopher Duran, that he was actually arrested during a benefit concert in New York just a couple years ago on his anniversary of September the 11th gala, where he basically bit a man on the face, back and thumb, causing lacerations. And the arresting officer claimed that he found a plastic bag filled with cocaine under Duran's wallet. So we know that this guy maybe gets aggressive after he has a couple drugs. Now,
A couple of lines. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Is he been charged with anything to do with Martha Nolan?
No, I don't believe so.
That's what's
I don't believe so.
extraordinary,
And the preliminary autopsy has found no signs of violence, no defensive wounds, no obvious trauma found on her body. So there is a theory that potentially she might have had a drug overdose, which would be conducive with the theory that he had vomit all over him.
But you see, here's the thing, though. So that could be the case. But once again, I keep coming back to this thing. I cannot understand why he had absolutely no clothes on. You know, whether or not he was covered in her sick. No clothes? I don't get this.
Well, do you just take a woman out on a yacht just to have a cup of tea with her and drink some champagne? I mean, we don't know what could have been going on. They were the only 2 people on the yacht. I mean, there are other reasons as to why he might have been naked, Kevin.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary story, we're waiting for the final cause of death. We don't know what, we're waiting for the pathology test to reveal exactly how she died. Meanwhile, he is not charged with anything, and we all wonder, what were you doing? Why didn't you have any clothes on? It's such a weird story. Let's move on, sort of something very different. Well, let's just play it, shall we? This is Meghan's video for her Christmas special of With Love Meghan on Netflix. This is brand new, folks. Enjoy.
I love the holiday season. It's about finding time to connect with the people we love.
Yeah.
Embracing traditions.
I like this.
There we go. And making new ones.
We are now in the It's pretty jolly here. Let's go craft. Heyo. It's so pretty.
So easy and elegant.
It's better the next day and everything turns red.
It's so festive.
Being a hostess or a host,
it's about making people feel comfortable.
You can do things that make people feel a little bit more seen. See?
Let the festivities commence and embrace the special touches that bring you joy.
Should we see if this works?
One,
there we go.
2, 3.
Oh! There we go.
Oh my God. Slight appearance from Harry there, but what do you make of that?
Yeah, Harry was let out of the bunker for a minute to do a quick little hit with her. Yeah, I mean, come on. The thing that really sort of screams out to me about this is that her family is not in a single one of those shots. Neither of their families will be with them for this festive season. They're estranged from all of them. There is no joy. There is no cheer in that household.
It's just horrible, isn't it? Yeah. But also very strangely, unusually, no pictures of the back of the kids' heads.
Yeah, no pictures of the kids at all. What's Christmas without children?
What's Christmas without the back of your kids' heads?
Yeah, I mean, she really, I mean, she's in a very fancy, I think it's like an $8,000 dress in one of those.
Of course.
Who's hosting Christmas is an $8,000 gown. I mean, everything to her screams at sort of manufactured authenticity.
It's so fake, isn't it? What did you think about in between the Christmas shoes, that little skip she was in, the festive skip? Very uplifting, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's like a deranged desert nymph going through, sort of like waltzing through.
Desert nymph. I don't know what a desert nymph is.
Well, we have them in Australia.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay,
we do.
I knew there'd be a reason. What are desert nymphs?
A nymph of the desert. I mean,
what does that mean?
Well, what I was looking for is probably a forest nymph. She was sort of, yeah.
Yeah, that's what she's going for. The sort of the Christmas elf look, isn't it?
Yeah, but with a sort of psychopathic backstory.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what the reason this will spell a happy Christmas, I think, for most of us, is that it's pretty certain this is the last time we'll ever have to endure With Love, Meghan. There's been 2 series that hardly anybody watched, and the reason for that was they were both absolute crap, very boring and full of useless information about how to freeze ice cubes and things like that, how to sprinkle dried flowers over absolutely everything. Totally rubbish, boring. And this is the Christmas special. It'll be the last ever one, I should imagine, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I mean, that door for Netflix is absolutely closed, as we could see her putting with Jeff Bezos, her trying to cozy up to the Amazon dollars, going on like she does with her ex-husband, just bouncing from one to the next, you know? So, yeah, I mean, they've said obviously they want a first look at anything that she has, but that basically means that the deal is done. It's over for Meghan.
So next Christmas, will she still be with Harry?
Oh, maybe it'll be a Merry Christmas.
In there.
It'll be a Merry Christmas after all.
Yeah, for Harry.
Yeah.
If that all ends. Get out of there, Harry, before it's too late. Really, really. Samara Gill, great fun. Thank you very much. A fascinating story about Montauk as well. When we come back, it's Isabel Oakeshott with stories from the Asylum Seeker Centre at Wethersfield. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the final hour of Drive Time with me, Kevin O'Sullivan. I'll be doing it again tomorrow. You'll be very depressed to hear. And I'm doing it on Friday. So you're stuck with me while you're driving, while you're having your tea. People still have tea. Anyway, yeah, for today, tomorrow, and Friday. So it's been a great show so far. At least I've enjoyed it. Hope you have. Now, in a little while, we'll be talking about the weather. We need to talk about the weather, don't we? I could hardly believe it when I woke up this morning in my North London mansion. Mansion tax going to hit me hard. No, in my North London hovel, and there it was, snowing, blizzard outside. Blizzard didn't last long, but hey ho, we have snow in London. That's always a sign that it's bad around the country. Around the country, Arctic temperatures, lots of snow, lots of ice. We need to talk about that, and I think we'll have to ask that question, won't we? White Christmas, will we get one? It's that time we ask that question. Also, Will Barker will be in from The Sun, Deputy Head of News there, to tell us what your favourite newspaper has got lined up for you tomorrow. Take some calls towards the end, and that'll take us through to 7 p.m. when it's Kevin O'Sullivan with the Political Asylum. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not. As I've just pointed out, it's Samara Gill, my producer, standing in for me. I never like it very much because she always does much better shows than I do. Makes me feel very insecure. But she will be with you at 7 p.m. and I guarantee you she'll deliver 3 hours of fantastic broadcasting. She always does. Now, before we get to any of that, though, let's go straight over to Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Hi, Isabel.
Good evening.
Now, thanks to you, last night we broke a story that's now making the national press all the way across Fleet Street, as they used to call it. You brought us 2 videos from inside Britain's biggest asylum centre. This is Wethersfield, former Wethersfield Air Base, RAF Air Base in Essex, where currently we think 800 young men, male migrants, reside. Now, the videos you brought us prove that, you know, we always wonder, what do these people do? What do they get up to? Well, if we play the videos, what we discovered is that we called it War and Peace. So at one point you see these guys all dancing around, having one hell of a time. And then the next moment, so that, there you go, this is the peace bit. So if you just turn the name of the book round, let's call it Peace and War, just for convenience sake. So here they are, they're having a good time, aren't they? You've got the pool tables, social area there, look at that, it's great fun, isn't it? And dancing away, here we go, dancing, the music's playing. You know, and you just think, hang on a second, we're paying for all this. Look at this. What on earth is going on? Why are we paying for these people to come over here and live in this pretty nice place, have parties, play pool? Why are we paying for this? But it's not all fun and games because also tensions can rise, as you can imagine. We've got 800. Here we go. So now this sort of thing goes on. Bloody great punch-up. This is over meal time. Look at this. Look at it. So again, you know, we're paying for all this. So we put these 800 young men, the fashionable thing to say is of military age. I always sort of prefer to say of sexually active age because that seems to be relevant to me. They're usually between the age of about 17 and 34. 800 young men like this corralled into the same place in the middle of nowhere, frankly, in Essex. It is a recipe for, shall we say, turbulent times. Now, we played this last night. The papers have all picked up on it. But before we discuss some of the ramifications, especially for the local communities, reiterate your thoughts on what we've just been looking at.
Well, basically, they play and they punch and you pay. That's how it is. You know, these guys have come over supposedly fleeing war and terror, and there they are having a great time. And, you know, we were saying last night, you know, I don't think that they have to be sort of sitting around crying and weeping over, you know, their life stories. I'm not saying they can't have a good time, but I think what this does is cast a spotlight on what goes on behind closed doors, and that fun that they were having is only part of the story, because there's so many fights that break out. And it's hardly surprising, as you say, if you put together a bunch of, you know, testosterone fueled young men who've got nothing much to do, or really nothing to do. You know, in fact, you said, you used the phrase military age. I mean, in fact, if we were actually using them for some kind of military purposes and training them, they would be better occupied than just floating around causing trouble, floating around either within the premises, or what's really upsetting local towns is that they're being bussed to those town centres where they're also just hanging around, or presumably some, if they follow the pattern of most other migrant accommodations, they're also working on the black market. So I think this stuff just really winds people up. You know, those guys, in a sense, I don't envy their lives. I don't want to live in a migrant hotel, whether it's a 4-star hotel or, you know, a former RAF base, but they are living literally a life of leisure. That is exactly
funded by British taxpayers. Exactly right.
All paid for by you, the listener. And, you know, it's just bonkers. The whole thing is completely insane.
And to add to the insanity, we contacted the Home Office yesterday to get their take on all of this. And incredibly, they said, oh, well, we think this dates back to the last government. This was when the last government was in charge. I think it's weird the way the Home Office sees itself as kind of a supporter and a spokesperson outfit for the Labour government and not the Tory. This dates back to the Tories. You're supposed to be independent civil servants. Whether or not that's true, we don't know. But they went on to say, oh, the reason there are pool tables there and music and televisions and dance facilities is because to try to keep them in. The asylum centre, the former airbase, which is something that doesn't work, as we also discussed last night. There is a big local campaign called Stop the Buses, because these 800 guys every day are bussed into the neighbouring towns, which are mainly Braintree, Chelmsford and Colchester. So busloads of these young men are bussed into these towns, whereupon they stand around making a threatening atmosphere. Women and children are particularly sort of terrorised basically by all of this. And the local communities say, well, at the very least, can you stop bussing them in? So there's a Stop the Buses campaign, and we spoke, didn't we, last night, Isabel, to one of the leaders of this campaign. She lives in Braintree. Her name, she's got a daughter. She's got a 4-year-old and a 15-year-old daughter. She's very, very worried about them. Her name is Holly England, and here she is talking to us last night.
What we're trying to aim to do is to get a load of rape alarms together and start handing them out over in Chelmsford first. For the in the evenings, at weekends, to give them out to the girls, young girls, women, anyone that's out on the town, to try and hand them out to every single person that we can find. That is our aim. And then to try and get across Essex and hand out as many as we can to women.
So you're going to distribute rape alarms to as many women as possible because of this rising problem that you got in Braintree, Chelmsford and Colchester. How many of these buses come into Braintree every day?
Well, we sent someone down to get a video the other day, and I would say there was somewhere between 50 and 60 men there with 2 or 3 buses.
As we both said last night, Isabel, people shouldn't have to live like this. Holly England and her kids shouldn't have to live like this. Women are staying in. We had several calls, by the way, after you were on the show last night. Several calls from women who lived in Braintree and Chelmsford saying we don't go out at night anymore. We shouldn't have to live like this. This is ridiculous. And I want to just refer you to something. A story today would have annoyed you as much as it did me. This is the chairwoman of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners. She gave a speech saying that British flags, particularly St George's crosses, have become tools of division and intimidation, a disturbing trend, demonising communities and so on and so forth. So she hates the flag, hates British flags, hates patriotic flags. But in this wide-ranging woke speech that this police commissioner woman, Emily Spurrell, made, she moved on to another area of life where she wanted to bestow her woke virtue. And she was talking about the migrant crisis, about the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood's new plans to overhaul the asylum seeker. She says, the asylum seeker system. She said, change must not come at the cost of compassion. I'm thinking, you're the police commissioner. What has this got to do with you anyway? But she went on to say, let's be clear. To couch anti-immigration rhetoric in the language of protecting women and girls is not only misleading, it is offensive. I wonder what Holly England and all the other women who don't go out at night in Braintree, Chelmsford and Colchester think about that. I think that to couch it in terms of the threat to women and children is highly relevant and highly worrying.
I wonder what the family of that poor young woman who was literally murdered by a completely psycho, nutty asylum seeker user of the hotel that this poor young woman was working at think to the idea that it's offensive and divisive to talk about the threat to women and children. I wonder what the 15-year-old girl, she's no longer 15, who was brutally sexually assaulted, the girl from Oxford, by an asylum seeker, thinks of that comment. I wonder what all the many victims of attacks, sexual attacks on women and girls in this country by illegal immigrants think of that sentiment. I don't know who this person is that you've just read the quote from, but I sure as hell know that they are not going to be an effective or popular police and crime commissioner if that is their attitude.
Well, exactly right, and this is the story. This is the story that's happening in communities across the land, all over the country, particularly in South Coast communities like Bournemouth, Southampton, Portsmouth, because coastal towns, you'll know this from your connection to Skegness, to Lincolnshire, have got obviously disproportionately large amounts of hotels compared with other towns because of being seaside resorts. So because they've got loads of hotels, they get loads of asylum seekers because those hotels become asylum seeker hotels. Bournemouth's got a serious problem. A woman really but seriously raped last week. We don't know for sure who did it, but an asylum seeker has been charged with the offence. And this is a story that is happening everywhere now. Whether or not you've actually had rapes or actually had sexual assaults by migrants, by asylum seekers, doesn't detract from the fact that women are worried about this. And Holly was telling us last night that you know, these guys bust into town, they sort of go and buy themselves bags of beer and stuff, sit around drinking, smoking, and just leering at women and wolf whistling them and making them feel uncomfortable. This is a story that is unfolding all over the country on a daily basis. This is the reality of our migrant crisis, of our asylum seeker crisis. And as I keep saying, I don't think any of us should have to live like this, but women should not have to live like this.
In my opinion, people who make comments like that kind of sanctimonious twaddle of trying to say that anyone who is highlighting this problem, anyone who is not prepared to just accept this, to just suck it up, those people that start crying racism, start crying offensive, start crying division, actually are partially responsible for what is happening, because they are creating an environment in which they are enabling this government to continue the system. They are allowing this government to continue letting the boats come across unfettered on the basis that it's compassionate to do so. There's nothing compassionate about allowing people to cross the channel, make that perilous journey, and then land in our communities with no jobs, no immediate or even long-term prospect of being contributors to our society, and then inflicting damage on local communities. That's no form of compassion that I recognise.
Couldn't agree with you more. Last point, I wanted to run this by you because it infuriated me, and I suspect you won't be too thrilled by it either. It's this, you know, Shabana Mahmood with her sort of quite encouraging proposals about reforming the asylum system. As I said earlier, the direction of travel is right, but if you don't leave the ECHR and if you don't tame your left-wing backbench MPs, I can't quite see any of it actually ever happening. But the thing that annoyed me the most about this saga was that these left-wing backbench MPs who are rebelling against Shabana Mahmood's reforms have warned the Labour top brass, Starmer, Mahmood, the cabinet ministers, don't keep doing what the electorate want. That's what they said. Stop doing what the electorate wants.
Brilliant.
Just because the electorate wants it. I mean, that's Labour for you. Never mind the people. We're Labour MPs and we've got virtue to signal. It's pathetic, isn't it?
Well, it's also unbelievably patronising and just so self-aggrandising to think that they know better. I mean, this is exactly what happened, for example, with Brexit, isn't it? These little people, they don't know what's good for them. We're in the Palace of Westminster. We know what's good for people, and we know that it's so important to be compassionate and keep on having those boats coming over. Just outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And this is why those people will lose their seats. They will lose their seats if they take that attitude.
Yeah, this is symptomatic of these backbench rebels who are going to cause big problems for Mahmood. She has two problems with these reforms. One, she'll struggle to get them through her left-wing backbenchers. It's in their DNA to sort of be kind and say open borders, let everybody in. So they won't like this crackdown. But this is the Stourbridge MP, Kat Eccles. She said, it just feels, she's talking about the cabinet and Shabana Mahmood. Listen to this. It just feels that they are trying to just be seen to be doing something just to appease the electorate. Can you believe that?
We don't really count. In normal speak, forget the electorate. We just have to tolerate whatever it is our politicians do to us. Yes, absolutely, they're trying to do something to appease the electorate, and so they jolly well should be.
Exactly right. It's called politics. It's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to please the people.
Servants of the people. That's what politicians are supposed to be.
Yeah, but these people, these Labour backbenchers, are just trying to please themselves and to show, aren't I great? Aren't I wonderful? Oh. I'm a caring, sharing person. Be kind. Yeah, well done. But as I say, Shabana Mahmood's heart is essentially kind of in the right place, but in the real world, she's not going to get any of this stuff.
Well, I think her head's in the right place, not her heart, probably. Yeah. I think the head is telling her she needs to do this.
Yeah, and you've got to leave the ECHR, as I keep saying. If you don't leave the ECHR, everything she's proposed, you can't bring your family over anymore. I'm appealing to the European Court of Human Rights. Oh, you can bring your family over. Everything she said will be undermined by the European Court of Human Rights. So leave that or forget it. We're stuck with this forever. Isabel, fantastic to talk to you as always. Isabel Oakeshott, our brilliant international editor there. Those two videos she brought into us, it was the people from the bus campaign who gave them to us, and they're now all over the national papers. We broke the story last night on my show, The Political Asylum, a world exclusive. When we come back, I do believe we have to talk about the weather. I mean, it's getting pretty cold. Arctic blasts, snow, ice. Let's find out what it's all about. That next, stay tuned.
Just some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the Home of Common Sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, I don't know if you noticed, I certainly did at my London mansion, my little home. It's not a mansion. Up in North London this morning, I looked out, I drew back I got the servant, my butler, to bring back the curtains. I looked out, I could hardly believe it. It was a blizzard. So there's been snow here. It's not snowing at the moment, but there's been snow in London, but all over the country. Really, really cold. Arctic blast, ice. Don't know how long it's going to go on for or where it's all coming from, but let's see if we can find out by talking to meteorologist from Square Raindrop, Joe Wheeler. Hi, Joe.
Hello. Yes, it has been pretty chilly today and very exciting. All the reports of snow coming in this morning, particularly when the snow reaches the southeast, because that's quite an unusual situation. In fact, this cold air, it has come straight from the Arctic, and it's actually gone further south than us. It's gone right the way through France, down towards the Spanish border. So they're getting a bit of a shock as well. And it's really just because at the moment we've got a low pressure system out towards the east, high pressure to the west, and that's forcing northerly winds on both sides. So we've got this strong northerly flow. So whatever the temperatures are for us, which today were around 4 or 5 degrees Celsius only, you've got the wind chill factor to go with that too. So it's feeling pretty bitter.
And will it get worse? How long will it go on for?
Well, this particular spell of cold weather, probably not that long. We're looking at something a little bit less cold coming in at the weekend. And with that, we'll see a change in wind direction from a northerly to a much milder westerly. Unfortunately, with that, we'll also get a lot of cloud and rain and windy weather as well. So I think tonight we could be looking at some rural areas seeing temperatures down to around -6 or -7.
Blimey.
Yeah, I know. Probably colder still, I think, on Thursday night. And then it's on Friday that we start to see this change. But of course, even if you've got this wintry weather, you might also need, along with your big coat, also some sunglasses, because the sunshine has been incredible for many inland areas. It's just these coastal parts that have seen showers, and they'll continue to see those showers tomorrow. Now, of course, over the high ground, those are likely to fall as snow, perhaps even to lower levels too. But the focus tomorrow is going to be kind of around the North York Moors, northeastern parts of England, where already we've got lying snow, but we could see up to around 25 centimetres, which, when it's blown around, will give some blizzard conditions too.
Ice on the roads, anywhere to be particularly worried about that?
Yeah, I would worry about the roads. Where it's been dry through the day, not too much of a problem. Where there have been showers, particularly late showers, as those road surfaces start to drop in temperature, we're going to see quite a lot of ice forming. Now, obviously, we did know this cold spell was coming. Were the gritters prepared? I hope so. So, hopefully a lot of the main roads will be gritted because untreated roads and surfaces certainly won't be too good at all. Now, you may be wondering what's happening after the weekend. So is everybody. We're all watching with great fascination because there's a very good chance at the moment, or shall I say the early signals are, I'm a beast for these long-term weather forecasts, there is a chance we'll see some quite chilly conditions through December as well.
And in a way, it seems to me that this is the first time, it's been pretty mild up until now, this is the first time we've really felt the chill of winter.
Absolutely. I'm not even sure we've had a frost yet, but certainly this time last year we were seeing temperatures in the south of 18.5 Celsius. Now we're looking at temperatures a good 10 degrees less than that, and around 3 or 4 degrees less than you'd averagely have at this time of year.
Well, I've got to start asking you now. Going forward, as we move towards December, is it going to get colder? Are we in from now on for a cold winter? And you know what I'm going to ask next. What about a white Christmas, particularly here in London? What are you going to say about that?
Well, if you take a look at some of the stuff that goes onto social media, and there are a lot of very clever meteorologists out there, and they're all posting because they're all excited. It does look like we're in for a fairly extended spell of cold weather.
Really? So, I mean, I'm only talking about the southeast because that's where I live, and I always find it, because it's less likely, if it's a white Christmas in London, that's a hell of an event. Is that a possibility this year?
I think anything's a possibility. It's quite interesting. We have snow for two reasons in this country. The first is, as we have at the moment, cold air across the country, and then something milder coming in from the west. It usually comes from the west. And that causes what we call an undercut. So you get the precipitation falling through this very cold air, and often falling as sleet or snow and then turning back to rain within a couple of days. When you get snow in the east, and that includes the southeast, it's most likely to be from a Scandinavian blocking high. Okay. So that's high pressure over Scandinavia and a long sea track for the air to come across the North Sea towards us. And that's when we most likely see some sleet or snow coming out of that, which then lies for a few days. So the trend is for December to be looking at one of those Scandinavian blocks. OK, without being, I don't want to be too London-centric, around the country, the chances of a white Christmas, I don't know, Yorkshire, the West Country, wherever, what are the chances there? Well, Scotland always has a fairly good chance of having a white Christmas. It's always snowing up there. Yeah, with the Scandi block, it would be eastern sides of the country that would be most likely to see some snow. But you can't rule it out. If you think about the beast from the east, I think that managed to make its way across to the west as well, and that was, again, a similar situation. So, would it be worth asking for a friend, putting a few quid on there being a white Christmas in London? I'm just back from the bookies. OK, right, I'm going to the bookies right now. Joe, great to talk to you. Thank you so much. Joe Wheeler there, meteorologist from Square Raindrop. Pretty cold, but it looks like next week's going to warm up a bit. But going forward, it looks like a cold winter. Could be a white Christmas. How about that? Let's go to break now. When we come back, Will Barker, the Deputy Head of News at The Sun, will be in to tell us what Britain's favourite newspaper has got lined up for your entertainment tomorrow. That next, stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, tomorrow, as every day, Britain's favourite newspaper will be published. The Sun. Proudly used to work there myself, literally in the last century, and still love that paper. So to go through what will be in its pages for your delectation tomorrow, a warm welcome to the studio to the Deputy Head of News at the Sun, Will Barker. Hi, Will.
Hi, good to meet you.
Now, I assume this will be the headline. This is obviously to do with the Russian spy ship cruising around Scotland at the moment. See you laser, Putin.
Absolutely, yeah.
Explain that as a headline.
Well, yes, this is our splash and 4-5 as it currently stands. These revelations from John Healey this morning at the press conference that it's very worrying that there's this Yantar ship from the Putin's top spy ship is sort of hanging around in the north of Scotland, and not only that, I mean they've done this before. This is the second time they've done it this year. But not only that, they're zapping lasers up in the sky at our I think it's Poseidon jets.
RAF jets are going over, and they're lasering.
Yeah,
blimey.
Which you normally get football fans that used to do it when on penalty people taking penalties, and there's been cases of pranksters doing it near airports, but not actually sort of being involved in sort of huge crises.
Right. Well, we did this story earlier. We led on this story here on this show. I think the thing that worries me, this boat's called Yantar. It's done it before. It's lurking off the coast of Scotland, and the worry, Will, is that it's not too far from our various cables,
exactly,
undersea cables.
And there's been this sort of running theme recently, I doubt, in sort of in Eastern Europe, where these sort of cables have all been cut and tampered with, and it's always been suggested it's the Russians. And
I don't know if you got any on this, but you know what we were saying. You know, the Defence Secretary John Healey, full of tough words, saying, you know, we know what you're doing. We know what you're doing, Putin. And if the Yantar travels south this week, we are ready. I think a lot of people around the country are going, are we ready? Are we ready? I don't think we are.
Yeah, with the amount of cuts that we've been through, we don't really seem like on a fighting footing at the moment.
Exactly right. So that's 1, 4 and 5. See you laser, Putin. Another brilliant headline. Love Sun headlines. The next track you want to talk about, what is this, a record? The next story you want to talk about is Well Done Sun, as in S-U-N. What's that about?
So this is off the... while the Russians are scaring us in our country, we've exposed, it's our splash today, we've exposed this rather horrible individual, Graham Phillips, who has completely flipped to the other side, become a pal of Putin, and has been filming these horrible things out in Russia and
so
Ukraine.
He's fighting with the Russians?
Yeah, basically. Well, he's not fighting, he's filming everything.
Right.
And he's now, the splash today was that the police are now looking at him for war crimes, a charge that he denies. He says it's not right, but we found videos of him filming pigs eating dead,
human remains.
eating dead Ukrainians, which is just horrendous.
What is this guy's background then? He's 46 years old. How did he end up alongside
I think he's an ex-civil servant. He used to work for the Ministry of Information over here. He's then sort of become a YouTube person, and then just decided to go over there, and has just now completely flipped. He's calling the Britons all Nazis now that we've become, and we've got more revelations about him tomorrow. Yeah. But the stuff so far, Healey, after talking about the Russians, was then praising our efforts at sort of lifting the lid on all this earlier on, and has sort of pledged to take appropriate action against him.
Well, the next story, there's a lot of contenders for this, I could say in a light-hearted way, but this actually isn't a funny story, but the headline's funny. Britain's worst cop. He is a monster. He's David Carrick. Tell us about Carrick.
Well, so his second court case for 6 offended crimes finished today. He was guilty of 2 more. Attacking a girl of 12 and also an ex-girlfriend. I read some of the evidence that came out of the trial, and it's truly horrendous.
Yeah, this guy was just—it's incredible that he was a cop. I mean, he's barely human, but he was a copper for God's sake.
Well, that's the thing. You read all this thing, and that's bad in itself. But then you discover that he's been a cop looking after Number 10. He's been there. He's met Boris Johnson. He's been on guard all these places.
What do they call it? The protection squad. Well, I mean, there's a problem there, isn't there?
Well, this only came out because of Cousins. Because of the Wayne Cousins, Sarah Everard stuff.
That was Sarah
They
Everard.
then looked at everybody and discovered, hang on, we've got this absolute monster.
So he was already, this guy Carrick, doing 36 life sentences for rapes and serious sexual violence against 12 women.
He's getting
and now there are more horror stories.
Yeah, so he's going to get sentenced tomorrow. It's very likely he's going to get a lot more hefty sentence, and he'll never come out of jail. I don't think we'll ever.
I mean, what do you get one of those whole life sentences?
Possibly.
Now? They're like the ante to that. Okay. Right. Well, I love the last story. This is about suspicious sportsmen, sports people, I should say. Ducks off the menu. This refers to our Test cricketers down in Australia. Tell us all about that.
I don't know if you're a cricket fan, but are you excited about the Ashes coming up?
Yeah.
It all starts on Friday. We haven't had a great run out in Oz for the last 10, 15 years, but now we're on a bit of a good run of form, and so our Ashes are going over there. Our Ashes squad going over there and in good fine and fettle but. They are, as all sportsmen are, quite superstitious, and they revealed on a podcast that they don't eat duck while they're out on tour.
They don't want to have a duck
because they don't want to have a duck or zero, as in cricket parlance, as the out on the pitch. But it goes further than that. They won't eat anything that's sort of zero shaped, so they won't eat polos or anything.
Well, I hope this works. All this extreme.
Well, exactly. Maybe this is the hidden fact. Maybe this is going to change our luck so far.
Joss Butler, former teammate of our team, our Test squad, he said, it's given me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about Joe Root having duck in Australia. It won't happen. No one will have duck on the day. I'm not sure I'd even eat duck during that whole series. I mean, it is taking suspicion a little bit far, but interesting, and good luck to the lads down under. What, you got anything much on I'm a Celebrity tomorrow?
Yeah, there's a lead to Amir out there. I haven't been following it myself personally, but Amir's been doing some great stuff out in Oz.
I used to sort of be in charge of people and have to send them down to Australia for that, and I was usually thinking, why can't I send myself? Ali Ross, your brilliant TV critic, he went down there once, I remember, and ended up doing a centre spread in the sun, playing golf with Ant and Dec. And I thought, that's the kind of job I want.
Yeah.
In fact, I used to do Ali Ross, well, not for the Sun, I used to do that job as TV critic. It's one of the very few jobs.
Yeah.
You can earn pretty good money sitting around in your underpants, You don't even have to get dressed to do it.
Yeah. It's a bit. The Oz job is a bit of a funny old one, really, because you send out there, and if it's a big series of the stars or play up, you then start working on buy-ups towards the end of it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And it gets, but then you've got sort of angry subs phoning you in the middle of your night.
Yeah,
and
I mean that's the problem. The time difference.
Yeah.
What are they? 10, 12 hours ahead. That makes for very hard work for newspapers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, sounds like a bumper edition tomorrow of The Sun, so don't forget, get out and buy it or read it online, whatever you prefer. And a big thanks to the Deputy Head of News at The Sun, Will Barker. And give us a call, by the way, 0344 499 1000. Looking for your calls. You know what we're talking about. Are we ready to defend ourselves? John Healey, the Defence Secretary, says, we're ready. We know what you're doing, Putin, we're ready. Are we? Are we? I don't think so. 0344 499 1000. What do you think about that police chief or the police commissioner woman, Emily, what was her name? Emily Sporrell, who says that the British flags are symbols of division and hatred, tools of division and hatred, and they spread fear and loathing around the country. We're talking about the Union Jack and the St George's flag. We don't want to hear that, do we? I mean, what's she talking about? What do you think about our flags? What do you think about coppers or people in our police forces that say that our national flags, symbols of patriotism, are tools of division and hatred? Come on. 0344 499 1000. Will Shabana Mahmood get her asylum reforms through Parliament? Let me know. 0344 499 1000. Get on the phone, give me a call, because it's going to be you all the way through to 7 p.m. You got the rest of the show all for you. 0344 499 1000. Back in a moment.
Some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the home of common sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Going to go to the phones in just a second. First of all, though, a couple of WhatsApp voice notes. This is Sharon on flags.
What are we going to do with the flag if we go to war? Are we going to say we can't fly our flag? I know we'd have to fly it the other way around because we'd be wanting some help from somewhere.
Well, that's a good point. Well, let's hope we don't go to war. But yeah, we will have to employ our national flags there. No doubt people like Emily Sporrell will say, get those flags down off that warship. It's divisive. Nonsense. Let's listen now to another WhatsApp voice note. This is Rich. Funny enough, this is Rich on the cost of living.
I've worked my stump off all my life, and I was mortgage free last year at 56 years old. But I'm telling you something, I was better off 10 years ago when I was paying a lot more for my mortgage. You do the sums.
Yeah, it's a story of our times. People are, never felt worse off than they do right now. And let me tell you, after November the 26th, when it's Rachel from Accounts Budget Day, you're going to feel even worse off than you do now. It's going to be a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. Let's go to the phones and let's talk to Steve in Cambridgeshire. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Kev. With this defence thing, where's the majority of the armed forces going to come from?
What do you mean by that? I mean, basically,
Well,
we've got
it's
about
gonna
70,000. We couldn't even fill.
What I mean is, where are they going to recruit them from?
Well,
they're going to recruit them
yeah.
from the far right, flag waving, lower classes that they keep deriding.
Well, it's an interesting point. I mean, the kind of people that sign up for the forces tend to be patriots. They tend to be people who don't hate our flags. So you're right. The armed forces will have to embrace the reality of decent people in this country who do admire our flag, as opposed to all those people who don't. But you know, you talk about the armed forces and the kind of people who join, who I think are decent, patriotic people. But you do have nonsense like in the Air Force where they've said, oh, diversity. You know, we've got to get more women in as pilots, people of colour and so on and so forth. So the concept of excellence has left the building and it's just trying to get the right quotas in. So diversity and wokery has infected our armed forces as well. And I think that's very worrying.
Yeah, but also, like I said to the lady on the phone, they keep shouting about, oh, we're going to, you know, manufacture our own arms and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We've got the highest energy prices
in the world.
In the world. So how are we going to be competitive?
Well, we're not, basically. That's why, you know, when John Healey, the Defence Secretary, very sort of forthrightly said, Putin, we know what you're doing and we're ready. I mean, as a country, in terms of potential war, potential conflict, I think we're anything but ready. That's the problem. We're not ready. We have the most depleted military force we've ever had, down to about 70,000 people. Couldn't even fill a football stadium. We're spending less on armaments, on defence than we ever had before. Are we ready? Are we really ready? I don't think we are, Steve. That's the problem.
No. But, you know, something's got to give. Either Starmer's got to say to Miliband, look, you know, you just got to drop all your nonsense and we've got to arm up, you know, make it affordable to arm up, or...
he should do that. The trouble is there's only one person in the entire country who doesn't think Ed Miliband is clinically insane. There's only one person who actually looks up to that crazy man, and that's Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer is enthralled to Ed Miliband, which is a massive problem for this country. It's a massive problem. We need to get rid of Ed Miliband. We need to get rid of all of this Labour lot. But Ed Miliband is arguably the most dangerous man in the country. And you're right, he's saddled us with the most expensive energy bills in the entire world. Thanks, Ed. Steve, great call. Thank you very much. Got to move on. Thank you. Steve in Cambridgeshire there. Let's go to Kevin in Leicestershire. Hi, Kev.
Hey, Kev, what time did you go this?
I know, I'm up early today. Yeah.
What time? You on this time tomorrow?
I'm going to be doing drive today, as you noticed, and tomorrow and Friday. So it's your lucky day if you're around in the afternoon. So, you know, these things happen. But here I am. What would you like to say, Kev?
Yeah, it's kind of scary what's happened today. I mean, I think it's I would like to say to kick up the... It is. It's worrying, isn't it? I mean, I think you're right with what you're saying. Are we heck ready? I mean, but I think with what's going on in Ukraine, I don't think Russia are really... I mean, it's not my strength, this knowledge, but I would have thought they're not really in the position to take a full-on assault on us yet. But with this sort of thing... as well as the China digital attacks that are going on, this is the sort of thing that should really kick us up the backside and make
it should. I agree with you, Kev. It brings into sharp focus our military, our defensive deficiencies, and we really should get on top of it. But and when John Healey, the Defence Secretary, we're ready, I just don't think we are. I think what is happening in Scotland now with this Russian boat, highlights the fact that we are very much not ready. And, you know, I think Putin is just goading us. He's taunting us. But, you know, things can go wrong in these situations. And if it did kick off, you know, are we ready? And, you know, Russia, you know, although you might think it's depleted, it spends so much money on defence, its military budget, that it's still quite a tour de force when it comes to military power. So,
do you think they could do 2 wars at once, though? I mean,
he'd give it a go. I think he'd prefer not to. He'd prefer not to, but he'd give it a go. Definitely, no doubt about it. But I don't think. I think he's pragmatic enough not to actually want war with the West, but he doesn't mind poking us with a sharp stick. Well, he sort of enjoys it, and also he enjoys the fact it highlights the fact we aren't really defended properly, which is an absolute national scandal. Kev, got to move on, but thanks for an excellent call. It is now time for the great Tarquin of London. Hi, Tarquin.
Listening to the greatest drive time show on UK
I know, all of a sudden, drive time's brilliant, isn't it? Today, massively brilliant. All of a sudden, don't know where it came from. I don't know what's different about today's show, but it's a real step up. There's no doubt about that.
Indeed. Anyway, on this the subject of this police.
Oh yeah, the copper that doesn't like flags. Yeah, tools of intimidation.
That initially strikes me, again, it's a bit like the BBC. And for the reason I see the parallel here is a police officer of whatever rank is employed to enforce the law, primarily criminal law, not civil, but criminal law. Now, as far as I'm aware, the last time I saw in the statute books or any other constitutional law, there's no crime about flying the flag, displaying the flag anywhere in this country. It never has been, probably, hopefully, never will. So what's it got to do with her? She's displaying bias.
Yeah, and then she starts talking about the importance of compassion in the asylum seeker system. Well, you're a police commissioner. Why are you telling us this? She's just a virtue signaller, Tarquin. Tarquin, listen, I've got to go, but always good to talk to you. Thank you very much for another excellent call. Tarquin in London. Just a quick text that I've been sent, a message. This is from Keith in Shrewsbury. Keith says, we are a NATO member, so we'll have every NATO country with us should things escalate. Putin is just saber-rattling. We really don't need to over-dramatise this. Well, you say that, Keith. I would suggest it's a pretty worrying situation. Putin would not be doing this if he didn't think, if he didn't know that Britain was so militarily weak and undefended. So I disagree with you. This is not something we should ignore. Totally a serious situation. But anyway, that's it for this show. It's been great to have your company. As I say, I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. with Kevin O'Sullivan's Drive. Like the sound of that, don't you? And in the meantime, guess who's standing in for me tonight? She hasn't been in the studio for what must be 60 minutes. It's Samara Gill. How you doing?
They're desperate, aren't they? No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, they are. That's why I'm doing Drive.
No. It was a great show, Kev. I thoroughly enjoyed listening.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'll be helming the good ship. It'll just be the asylum tonight without you. There'll be no politics, really.
Yeah. It is, the political asylum won't be quite so mad tonight. So what you got coming up, though, seriously, Samara?
Well, the majority of young French Muslims basically believe that Sharia law should be put above the laws of the Republic, according to a shocking new study that's come out. So we're really going to get into that. I've got
well, not fantastic, but it's a good story, though.
Yeah, it's really vile. I mean, 57% of young Muslims believe that Islamic law should outrank the French legislation. I mean, it does make me think that that's only across the pond.
Well, you know, we have significant numbers of Muslims who live in this country who believe the same thing.
Yeah, we do.
And, you know, I keep saying that, you know, we go, Sharia law, we can't have Sharia law. There are 85 Sharia courts in this country. They call them Sharia councils, but they're courts. They sit in judgment on marital disputes, neighbourly disputes, property disputes. They make all sorts of decisions. 85 Sharia courts in this country, so it's coming.
It is, and even if you think about the synagogue killer, he was actually operating under Sharia law within this country. He had 3 wives. So it is happening, and we're just not privy to it, and we need to expose this. We've also got Darren Grimes coming on. I'm sure a lot of people...
Oh, you got him, I've been trying to get Darren for all week. Suddenly he can make it tonight. Yeah, thanks, Darren.
I actually wasn't
Is this something I said?
I wasn't expecting to have him on, but he's popped up and he's going to talk about kind of Nigel's plans to slash foreign aid. I think that's still something our audience really
I've got a
wants to talk
slight,
about.
I'm a big admirer of Nigel Farage, but I've got a slight beef with him.
Yeah.
He says we're going to cut back. We're currently spending something like £12 billion a year on foreign aid, you know, dancing and juggling lessons for Tanzania, things like that, Spice Girls in Ethiopia. And he says he's going to cut it back to £1 billion. I don't know why we just don't go the whole hog, cut it back to zero. I just don't get it. Why spend my taxpayers' money, your taxpayers' money on foreign countries?
It's a great point. Of course, if there are issues in other countries, we can then, you know...
Emergencies, humanitarian disasters.
Yeah, Britain's always been overly generous with that. But I'll put that question to Darren, since you can't talk to him, Kevin.
Yeah.